Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City of Toronto Scarborough District Committee of Adjustment hearing. Today is January 13th. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto Committee of Adjustment, virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and it is streamed onto the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on the YouTube channel. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or a tablet app. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Before we begin, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment at the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that applies to property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. In terms of receiving a copy of the decision today, anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision must submit a written request for a decision to be sent by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and an email address because Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto local appeal body, TLAB, will be sending notifications and updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the TLAB or in some instances to the Ontario Land Tribunal, the OLT. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. I will call each item in the order that's listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or the applicant will proceed with their presentation if it's required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or the agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you're reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters that are outlined in the application. The applicant or the agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee of the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposal at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if it's substantially revised to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those who are entitled to receive the notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentations. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. I must emphasize here that we are here to hear your concerns and your comments on any application, but repeating the same comment or reading off your written submissions will not help advance your cause. So please remember to confine your comments to the application before us. Before hearing the first item, Can I receive confirmation of minutes of the last meeting? Members of the committee, may I have a motion? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I move approval of the minutes of December the 8th. Of the committee adjustment.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for approval of minutes of meeting December 8th.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried. The minutes have been confirmed from the last hearing. Members of the committee or staff, are there any declarations of interest for items in the first time slot, which are items 1 through, these are declarations of conflict of interest. For item 1 through 18? I see none. Thank you. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we have any deferral requests for items that are listed on the agenda for the first slot, items 1 to 18?
Through the chair, there are 3 deferral requests. The first deferral request is item 7, 2 CORA Crescent. It's deferral sine die at the request of the applicant to allow for a community meeting to discuss concerns raised by the neighbors.
Thank you, Colin. Do we have the agent Jonathan Biskowski with us? Hello, Jonathan.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Jonathan. So we have a request for deferral, sine die, to allow for a community meeting to discuss concerns raised by
Yes.
the neighbors, and you confirm that?
Yes, I can confirm the counselor's office has actually offered to facilitate the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Members of the committee, are there any concerns with this request for deferral for reasons as stated? I see none. All right, can I please have a motion on the request for deferral? This is item 7. Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we understand, the applicant has requested for a deferral for item number 7 to hold a community meeting with the neighbors. I move the motion for deferral of this item, sine die.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Gary, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I second that motion to defer the matter sine die.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been deferred sine die. Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, can I have the next request for deferral?
The second request for deferral is for item 15, 31 KELLS Avenue. It's a deferral sine die request at the request of the applicant to address concerns raised by the neighbors and Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer. Do we have the agent Jesse Raju Kanath, please? Hello, Jesse.
Yes, Madam Chair, good morning.
Good morning,
We are deferring
Jesse.
31 KELS Avenue.
Okay, so you're confirming that you're requesting for deferral?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Members of the committee, any questions or concerns with the request for deferral? This is item 15 at 31 KELLS Avenue. I see none. Can I please have a motion? Member McKay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we defer this matter sine die to allow further discussions with neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a seconder? Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion for deferral of item number 15.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. Application for 31 KELLS Avenue has been deferred sine die. Thank you. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any more requests for deferrals?
The third and last deferral request for the morning session is for item 18, 35 Cotton Avenue. Deferral sine die at the request of the applicant to revise their application to request an additional variance.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary Treasurer. Can we have Kulvinder Kaur as the agent? Kulvinder, you're with us?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes,
Okay.
Madam Chair, good morning.
Good morning. So you can confirm that you're requesting for deferral to
Yes.
to add additional variances as necessary.
Yes, Madam Chair. We
Thank
want
you.
to defer it.
Thank you very much. Members of the committee, 35 Cotton Avenue, request for deferral sine die. Any concerns? I see none. Can I have a motion, please? Member McCauley, please go ahead.
I propose that item number 1835 Cotton Avenue be deferred sine die to allow the applicant time to revise their application.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, I second that motion to defer sine die to allow further consultation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All in favor of this motion? The motion is carried and the application for 35 Cotton Avenue has been deferred sine die. Thank you. Mr. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, any more requests for deferral for this session?
Through the chair, there are none.
Thank you. All right, so we have dealt with the items for deferral. We are now going to move into the vetting of our agenda. I will start with item number 1. Item number 1 is 150 Warden Avenue. And we have 2 speakers listed here. I want to confirm with one neighbor in terms of what the intention is today, whether they're in support and opposition. So, Eric, can you please have Christine or William Petrie? All right. Hello, Christine.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Christine, we're vetting the agenda. At this point, I just want to ask you, are you here today to discuss your concerns with the application, or are you in support of this application?
I'm in support. We just had 2 conditions that we were requesting be reflected with the proposed variances.
Okay. And do we have your written submission?
Yes, did you want me to speak now or wait?
No, I
till-
just want to, we can probably deal with it, but just want to make sure I'm looking at the right memo. And is that the letter of, which one would that be? Could you please confirm?
There's a letter dated January 6th from Megan Barrett,
Perfect.
our lawyer.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we have that. So, okay, so we've reviewed that. I wasn't sure if it was in your name or the Ayrton Burles letter. So thank you very much for confirming that. Members of the committee, I now turn to you. Yes, Colin? Okay. Members of the committee, I turn to you. We have received confirmation that the 2 speakers listed on the agenda are here in support. Christine William Petrie has confirmed that the letter on the agenda, she would like those conditions to be included should the committee approve the application. And I have staff telling me something.
Through the chair, if you have it, you may already be doing this, but you may wish to confirm with the applicant whether they're in support of those conditions.
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you. Thanks, Colin. So committee members, I just wanted to confirm with committee members, and then I'll go to Peter Jurusik. Committee members, these are the conditions that are being requested by the neighbor to be included. Okay, and then we also had another speaker, but we have their written submission, and I believe the same stands for them. They had conditions, and this is Simon Lima and Mei Chen. Can you confirm that for me, Colin, or do you want me to confirm with the neighbor, Mei Chen?
Through the chair, you may wish to check with those neighbors.
Okay, all right. Eric, can we please have Mei Chen and Simon Lim? Hello, Mei, are you with us? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, May. So May, at this point, we're vetting the agenda. I just want to make sure that you're here in support of this application and that you have some conditions that you would like to be included should the committee approve it.
That's right.
Okay. Could you confirm that that's based on the memo that is that the committee has on file? Are the conditions listed there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Staff, can we please have those conditions on the screen for Mei Chan and Simon Lim? Oh, okay. No, this is from Christine and William Petrie, Ed and Burles. The other one.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, I wasn't sure who the applicant is here first, but just
I-
wanted to confirm that the applicant is satisfied with those conditions.
Yes, thank you very much, Member McKay. I was going to go to Peter Jurusik now. Peter, are you with us?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning, Peter. So, Peter, just want to confirm we have neighbors here who would like certain conditions to be added. Should the committee approve it? Do you have any concerns with the proposed conditions?
No, we have worked extensively with the neighbors alongside their lawyer from Aird and Bearless and are well aware of these conditions and have no concerns about them.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, members of the committee, we have confirmation from the applicant. No concerns with the conditions should the committee approve it. So, committee members, any questions, any comments? I see none. All right, can I please have a motion on this application? Member Said, please go ahead.
Member Said to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before moving the motion, just a short comment. Thank you very much, Jurassic, for having a good understanding of these conditions from the neighbors, and you acknowledge that. That is appreciated. Madam Chair, yes, the variants mentioned in the applications, they are minor, they are appropriate. So I would move the motion for approval of item number 1. And there are conditions of urban forestry, which Peter Jurasek must have seen that. There are conditions number 1, 2, and 3. With those conditions, I move the motion for approval of this application.
Okay, thanks.
Through the chair, can we take a 2-minute recess, please?
Okay,
Just an adjournment, please, for 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So we have been asked to adjourn the meeting for 2 minutes, or just pause the meeting for 2 minutes?
Just pause it for 2 minutes.
Pause the meeting for 2 minutes for some reasons. Okay.
Yes,
So
okay.
I'm going to pause the meeting for 2 minutes, and I will come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're back. We paused just to get clarification on something. So I believe we had the motion on the floor. It was seconded. Did we have a seconder? Okay, we didn't have a seconder. So we have a motion on the floor. Please, can we just go through it again? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Well, thanks, Madam Chair. So I was seconding the motion to approve this minor application on 150 Walton Avenue with the approval to be subject to conditions relating to screening of a rear deck and also no outdoor lighting or doors to be in the southern facade of the new building, all is outlined in the January 6th letter of Airden Barreless.
Thank you very much, Member McKay. All-
Urban forestry conditions as well.
Yes, thanks, Member Said. You're correct, and subject to urban forestry conditions 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, thank you. Now, all in favor of this motion? And the motion is carried and the application has been approved subject to conditions. Thank you. We now go to item number 2. Item number 2 is 55 Claremore Avenue. We don't have any registered speakers. Can we have Dale Thorold, please? He's not there. All right, members of the committee, the agent's not there. Any questions or comments on this application? I see none. All right, can I have a motion on item number 2? This is 55 Claremore Avenue. Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a pretty straightforward application, 4 variances. And I believe all the 4 variances, which are about the lot coverage and rear deck height, building length, all these are minor. These are appropriate. So I move the motion for approval of item number 2, and there are no conditions for that.
Thank you. All, may I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I second that motion.
All in favor of this motion? And the motion is carried. The application for 55 Claremore Avenue has been approved. Item number 3, 32 Lamont Avenue. And we have registered speakers, so I will hold down this item and come back. Item 3, 32 Lamont Avenue has been held. Item 4, 215 GREYABBEY Trail. Again, I have a list of speakers here. Item 4 will be held for further discussion. Item 5, 59 KELSONIA Avenue, list of speakers. This item will be held. Item number 6, 21 Cherrydale Court. Can we have the applicant, Shivani Kapare? Shivani, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Members of the committee, we have the applicant, the agent here. Any questions or comments on 21 Cherrydale Court? I see none. All right, if there are no, okay, so there's a condition from community planning to tie the decision to the plans. Shivani, do you have any concerns? Should the committee approve it and tie the decision to the recommended condition in community planning staff report?
Yes, please. The only comments that I have is that we would make sure that we abide by the conditions that the committee has asked of us to do. I would request the committee to please approve our minor variance application.
Okay, so I just want to, my question was, you're fine with adding the recommendation?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect, okay. Committee members, we have confirmation from the applicant. Can I have a motion? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of this variance, subject to the community planning condition that they build in accordance with the plans as shown.
Thank you. May I have a seconder? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I second that motion to approve, subject to that, subject to the conditions set out in the staff report that they build substantially in accordance with the site plan.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? And motion's carried. The application has been approved for 21 Cherrydale Court. Moving to item number 8. Item number 8 is 19 Shirley Crescent. Is Yasu with us, please?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Yes, so Somaling, the authorized agent on this application.
Thank you, Yasu. You are aware of the conditions of urban forestry. Do you have any concerns?
Yes, Madam Chair, we are aware of it and we have no concerns on that.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions for Yasu? I see none. All right. No questions. Can I please have a motion? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Yasu. You have the understanding of conditions urban forestry 2 and 3. Madam Chair, there is only one variance for this application, which is very minor, very appropriate. So I move the motion for approval of item number 8, subject to the urban forestry conditions 2 and 3.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay, go ahead, please.
Yes, I second that motion to approve with the urban forestry conditions.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? And the motion's carried. The application for 19 Shirley Crescent is approved. We go to item 9. Item 9 is 21 AMIENS Road. And can we have the agent Richard DeBoss, please? There's another agent, Matthew Ribau. Is Matthew with us? Okay, Matthew.
Yes, hello.
Hello, Matthew. We're dealing with your application here, sir. Are you aware of the conditions of urban forestry 1 and 2?
Yes, yes, I am.
And you have any concerns with those conditions?
Not at all.
Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions for Matthew? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, just to the applicant here, I found most of the variances to be minor. I just wanted to ask about the steps are perhaps excessively wide. I guess these are exterior steps. Can you just fill us in a little bit more? Do these relate to a back deck or something? So it's the question of the width of steps.
The width of rear steps?
I'm not sure if they're just in terms of the variance. I don't have the standard in front of me. It might have been around 3 meters, and you're asking for 6.92 meters, if my note is correct.
Not for the width of the steps. We do have a front porch that has we believe a reasonably width step up to the front porch, and same with the back. I don't know if you're talking about the sorry, maybe you can help me. What variance number are you specifically speaking on?
Number 6, I believe.
Is it permitted encroachments or is it?
Thank you. I just got to pull it up here. Just give me a moment. Okay.
So it's an encroachment.
I think this is the variance number 6, which talk about the stairs width, which should be 2 meter, but you are asking for 6.92 meter, which is 3 times wider than the standards one.
It's not the standard. It says the exterior stairs may encroach if the stairs are no wider than 2 meters. But in this instance, they are wider than 2 meters. They're 6.92, and they're encroaching into the required minimum building setback, hence the variance.
Right.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Member McKay, does that answer your question? You're on mute, Member McKay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, I'll accept that as an answer to that. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Members of the committee, if there are no further questions, can I please have a motion on this application? This is 21 AMIENS Road. Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the motion for approval of item number 9, and there are 2 conditions of urban forestry 2 and 3. Subject to that condition, I move the motion for approval of this item.
Thank you. All in favor of, oh, sorry, may I have a seconder, please? Member McCauley.
Madam Chair, I will second that motion.
Okay, all in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. The application's been approved. Thank you. Moving to item 10, 73 Euclid Avenue. And can we have Yasu Sumalingam, please? Thank you. Yasu?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm the authorized agent on this application.
Okay, so the application has been amended, so we have that, the revised notice. There's a condition of urban forestry number 2, and you have any questions on that proposed condition?
No, we are fine with the conditions.
Okay, so just to, the revised notice is on the agenda. I don't need to go through all of it. Members of the committee, any questions? Member McCauley.
Madam Chair, I have a question of the applicant. We might be able to deal with it right here. the application has been amended to change the driveway width, I believe. But it's still a circular driveway. In my site visit, I saw that that driveway is fully constructed. As constructed, is it the revised driveway? Are you proposing to take out the interlocking? Or is it as constructed?
It will be modified as per the approval today.
Pardon?
It will be modified as per the approval today.
Okay, so you're going to take out some of that
Reconstructed as per the
interlocking.
approval today. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any more questions? I see none. All right, can I please have a motion where it's 73 Euclid Avenue? And there are conditions of urban forestry. Member Said, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the motion for approval of item number 10 as amended, subject to the urban forestry condition.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, I second that motion to approve as revised.
All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried. Application for 73 Euclid has been approved, subject to condition. Thank you. Item number 11 is 27 Milroy Crescent, and we have a list of speakers here, so we will hold down this item. Item 11 is being held. Item 12, 90 Mornell Court. Do we have the agent here? David Colassi, please. David, you're with us?
Yes, I am. I'm here present. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And there are no conditions from any of the departments or agencies. Members of the committee, any questions for David? I see none. All right. If there are no questions, can I please have a motion on this application? 90 Mornell Court. Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is really a good development, right? They are improving the accessibility options for the tenants. Although there has been a decrease in the number of the parking spots, but still the total parking spots remain in a good number. So with that satisfaction, I move the motion for approval of item number 12, and there are no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. May I have a seconder? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I will second that motion.
All in favor of this motion? And the motion is carried. The application is approved. Thank you. This is 90 Mornell Court, approved. Moving to item 13. Item 13 is 812 Meadowvale Road. And can we have Graham Barrett, please?
Yes, good morning, committee members and chair. I am Graham Barrett, agent for the owner.
Okay, thank you, Graham. Graham, we have a deferral report, a request for deferral from Urban Forestry. Do you have any comments on that recommendation?
Yes, I have read the Urban Forestry comments recommending deferral. They would like my client to rework the design to preserve a black walnut tree in the rear yard. This is a private tree, and my client would like to remove it. It drops walnuts in the rear yard, poses a bit of a hazard. An arborist report has been prepared and submitted, and it outlines that 3 new large shade trees will require planting, or cash in lieu will have to be provided, and the owners are fine with that. So we would like to proceed today.
So you would like to proceed today? Okay.
Yes, and then we're fine with the condition that a permit be applied for private tree removal.
Okay, members of the committee, any questions for Graham? Member Said, please go ahead.
Graham, I would like to have your comments, like there are conditions of the community planning as well. Would you like to comment on that as well, please?
Yes, I have read the staff report, and I appreciate the recommendation that the proposal be approved, and we're fine with the condition that approval be tied to plans submitted. I did send in a cover letter. 3 of the variances that are on the public notice are unnecessary, and they actually shouldn't have been on the notice in the first place. Modifications are made to the drawing some time ago. So variances 6, 7, and 8 can be removed altogether. And the rest of the variances are still required.
Okay, thank you. So we have confirmation. The application is amended to remove 6, 7, and 8 number variances, and he's agreed to the conditions as well. If there are no further questions for Graham, then can I please have a motion on the application? We have a comment from staff. Colin, please go ahead.
Through the chair, urban forestry is recommending revisions, deferral of the application to change the plans to ensure that the tree is adequately protected, and that they're requesting the building plans be flipped. And they also require more information on the construction of the open patio to determine the impact on tree number 1. These are in the urban forestry comments. Community planning is recommending approval subject to the current plans. The committee may wish to consider that the deferral request by urban forestry, because that is going to impact the plans. It's going to impact the community planning comments. It may also impact any future variances. And urban forestry does want to see revised plans to determine the impact.
Okay, thank you, Colin, for flagging that. Members of the committee, you heard staff's advice. Any comments? Member Said?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was really good points. That's what if Mr. Graham can tell us whether they are expecting a decision from the committee today regarding approval or not approval. I mean, in case, or they are still willing to work with the urban forestry to have some more discussions and deliberations with them regarding protection of this walnut tree, or there could be some changes in the plan. So are they looking into that or having some more discussions?
Okay, we'll check with Graham.
I have,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I have spoken with my client, and the intention is to remove this tree. And it is a private tree, and it should be within their right to remove it and replace it with adequate planting or cash in lieu. As I said, and it's mentioned in the arborist report, this tree poses a bit of a hazard being over a patio. It dropped walnuts. They would like to remove it. And it's not a city tree, so they should be able to apply for that permit and replace it. So I've been instructed to proceed today with the plans as they are. They do not want to redesign and flip the house as requested by forestry. So I believe all that would be required is a permit to remove private tree rather.
Thank you. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
As I understand it, the two conditions, the condition of community planning and the condition of urban forestry, contradict each other. And so that we cannot adopt both those conditions without creating a conflict. I understand that a black walnut tree in the rear yard can be a problem. I have a black walnut in the rear yard of my house too, so I know that we get the nuts on the ground. However, I don't want to predispose what urban forestry is going to say about your revision. And so I would recommend that you meet with urban forestry if they are satisfied, and if the community planning are also satisfied with the plans in front of them, then we could approve that at another meeting. I'm recommending that it would be probably in your best interest to clarify this so that we don't have a conflict between two agencies dealing with this application.
Okay, then the committee needs to make a decision.
I'm prepared to put forth a motion to defer this application. Subject to staff, I can defer it sine die to allow the applicant time to meet with the forestry and receive a revised letter from them.
Okay, Member Macaulay, before I ask for a seconder, staff has a comment.
Through the chair, I'd like to point out two things. First off, Urban Forestry in their comments have also indicated that if despite Urban Forestry's recommendation, the Committee of Adjustment panel approves the requested variances, they request a condition be imposed, and they've listed it there. Submission of a complete application for a permit to injure or remove a privately owned tree, right? So that's one thing. The second item is that if the deferral request should be at the request of the applicant, and I believe the applicant has already indicated, and you may want to confirm this, is that they wish to have a decision at today's meeting.
That's what the applicant mentioned, that they would like to proceed with the decision on the application. So I'll hold that motion for a moment, and I will go back to Graham. Graham?
Yes,
So as you heard.
that is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, so Graham, there's you heard Member Macaulay talk about, she has some concerns with the application, having a decision on the application today. She wants further discussion with Urban Forestry to discuss their concerns. What's your feedback on that?
I've been instructed to proceed today, and I appreciate staff's input and clarification on the urban forestry comments. We would like to proceed with the plans as they are. We would not like to defer this item today, and we will happily apply for a permit to remove a private tree and meet any conditions required by urban forestry to facilitate that. But I do understand Member Macaulay's point, and I appreciate that as well. It's just this is the solution that's been provided by forestry, and we would like to take that route.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So committee members, you heard Graham's response. I'm in your hands now. Need a motion. Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what I understand that regardless of approval of Committee of Adjustment today, the matter will be going to the Urban Forestry in any way for removal or entry of the walnut tree. The other conditions which is mentioned in the community planning, Graham has agreed to that. So I will repeat those conditions before putting the motion, because that will be a part of the motion. So the community planning is asking for 3 conditions, and thank you very much, Graham. You have agreed on your cover letter. Variance number 6, 7, 8 has been deleted. Yes, and there is the community planning is also asking that this decision be tied to the latest version of the site plan, which you have provided in Figure 1. And there is another clarity point that other zoning non-conformities that may appear on the plans that are not reflected in the decision or not otherwise authorized. So with these 3 conditions,
that's not a
Madam
condition,
Chair,
Mohammed. That's not a condition. That's
community
not
planning recommendation.
It's just a clarification statement that any variances are not listed are not subject to this hearing. So that's just a clarification. The only condition is, and the applicant has confirmed that the application has been amended. The only reason community planning refers to variances that have been amended or removed is just for clarification, just to make sure it's all covered. So the only condition that stands is the condition that it be substantially built in accordance with the site plan drawing. Now, Graham has mentioned that their applicant, his client would like to proceed on with the same plans as presented, which means no revisions to the drawings, and that they will obtain a permit from the Urban Forestry to remove that tree. So that would be the only condition, like the only 2 conditions. Okay, but thank you for that clarification, but I think we had a motion on the floor. And go back to Member Macaulay. Member Macaulay, you had a motion. It was different than what's being discussed right now. So would you like to amend your motion, or how would you like to proceed?
My motion was with the applicant's agreement to defer, because it is difficult to deal with the 2 conditions. Because the applicant is not agreeing to defer, I will delete my motion.
Okay, can I please have a revised motion then? Member Said? So that motion was withdrawn by Member Macaulay, and Member Said, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, since the two comments reports are contradicting, under that circumstances, taking a very safe path, in that circumstances, I move the motion for refusal of this application as recommended by the Urban Forestry.
May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay seconds the motion. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been refused due to concerns raised by Urban Forestry. Thank you. We move on to our next application. Item 14, 95 Vanbrugh Avenue. Can we have Jesse, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, Jace is here, representing 95 Vanbrugh Avenue.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. Members of the committee, any questions for Jesse? I just want to state for record that there is a petition of support, 18 signatures on it. Any questions for Jesse? I see none. All right, can I please have a motion? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I've reviewed the requested variances. I feel they meet the tests of minor, and accordingly, I would move approval of this variance application. I see no urban forestry conditions attached to this.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the motion for approval and there are no conditions attached to that.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried and the application has been approved. Thank you. Item 16 is 456 Pharmacy Avenue, Lot 2, and item 17 is 456 Pharmacy Avenue, Lot 1. We can perhaps deal with both these items together. Can we have Jonathan, please? Jonathan, you're with us?
I am, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. So Jonathan, we have your application. There's a community planning staff report as well. Just give me a moment. The application has been amended.
Correct.
And which I believe is reflected in the community planning staff report as well. Members of the committee, any questions for Jonathan? The application has been revised. I see none. All right. Just want to, yeah, all right. If there are no further questions, can I please have a motion? There's a community planning condition and urban forestry condition for each of the applications. So we'll go with the first application, please. Motion, Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I recommend approval of this variance application. I believe it's variances number 1, number 2, variance number 3 has been deleted. And we have variance number 4 and 5, and that this is, the decision is to be tied to the site plan in accordance with the community planning figure.
Okay, so essentially it's a,
Also issues of urban forestry.
okay, it's an amended application. Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder, please? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would second that motion to approve the revised application, subject to urban forestry condition number 3.
And community planning staff report.
Yes, that's.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's.
All in favor? Application has been approved. It's been carried. So this was item 16, 456 Pharmacy Avenue, Part Lot 2. Now, can I have a motion on the item 17, 456 Pharmacy Avenue, Part Lot 1? It's the same conditions of urban forestry as well as community planning. Can I please have a motion? Okay, Member Said, please go ahead. This is item 17.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the motion for approval of item number 17 as amended, subject to the community planning recommendations and urban forestry conditions.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
I will second that motion.
All in favor of this motion? Motion's carried and the application for item 17 has been approved. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our agenda for the morning session items. And I will do a recap of all the items that have been held for further discussion. No. Okay, thank you, Colin. We're back. I'm going to recap items that have been held. Item 3, item 4, item 5, item 11, and that's it? Perfect, okay. All right, we're going to start with the first item that was held, and this is item number 3. Item number 3 is 32 Lamont Avenue. And can I please have the applicant Yasu Somalingam?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Yasom. I'm the authorized agent on this application.
So Yasu, would you like to make a presentation?
Yes, Madam Chair. Can we have the presentation drawing submitted on this application? On
All
the
right.
screen, please.
All right, staff, can we please have the presentation up on the screen that was submitted?
Even though we're not,
Okay, so actually, this the driveway is proposed on the side yard, not on the front yard. So in the zoning, can we have that color drawing be submitted as a presentation, please? So it's a corner lot, and the driveway is coming on the side yard instead of the front yard. So let's wait for that slide, please.
Yeah, just give it a moment, Yasu, because the file crashed.
Oh, yes, this is the one. Okay, so in the zoning bylaw, the front yard and the rear yard is calculated from the property line to property line. That means, say, the front yard is calculated from the side property line to the other side of the property line, the full area front of the house. The rear yard is calculated from the left end of the property line to the right end of the property line, to the full rear side of the house, to the property line. So that's how the areas are calculated for the front yard and the rear yard. Unfortunately, the side yard is calculated between the width of the house, and the red line is the red line marked area is how the side yard area is calculated. So when we put this side yard area into calculation for our landscape area, the landscape area is exceeding. But if we calculate it like a front yard, a typical front yard calculated, that means if we calculate the side yard all the way from the front of the property line all the way to the rear side of the property line, the whole portion on the side yard from the house to the property line, the area will be different. So instead of 80.51 square meters, the total area will come 180.53 because the rear yard portion of 41.35 and the front yard portion of 58.367 will come into play, and then the total area will be calculated like regular front yard calculation. So the total area will come 180.53, where the landscape area will be 64.25, and we will comply the bylaw. But because of the side yard is calculated on the zoning bylaw between the houses, not the entire property line, the numbers are coming really odd, and it's exceeding the requirements of the landscape area calculation. Say, for an example, if this the side yard area is calculated as a simple front yard, we will comply all the requirements. Because of the zoning bylaws written such a way that side yard is calculated between the width of the property, that's where our calculations are coming wrong. That's why we are front of this variance for your approval.
Okay, thank you, Yasu. Members of the committee, any questions for Yasu? Member Said.
Thank you, Yasu, for elaboration on the calculations, and especially when you are mentioning this is a corner lot. And this measurement which you previously you did was not meeting your requirements, But I really wonder, because when this matter was discussed in a previous meeting, there was a couple of variances, quite a good number of variances, and the committee approved the variances about the height, about the floor area, setback. At that point, this is a very important point, because the corner lot and the side yard calculations are done in a different way. At that point, this should have been considered. I wonder what other factors could be there. And also when we see the landscaping, which is even less than 50% of the requirement. So I'm not feeling good with that. So unless you give me really a good reasons for 24% of the landscaping, and because this is a corner lot, and this landscaping may not be fitting into the character of the street.
Sorry about that. Okay, so when we got the original variances for the other component of the house itself, as we all the client requested for a circular driveway, change their mind, then we have advised them. We did a quick calculation and said that okay, we are okay with that the landscape area, so you shouldn't have any problem. But when we submit the revision to the city for the circular driveway, we did the calculation for the entire full width of the side yard, starting from the front yard boundary to all the way to the rear yard boundary, and the calculation was done based on that, and we thought that we should be fine. But apparently, when we did the revision application, the city instructed us, this is how the side yard is calculated. Actually, it's a flanked yard, but unfortunately, the bylaw is written such a way that side yards are calculated within the property line up to the width of the house, not the entire length of the property from the front yard to rear yard. So that's where the calculation went off, and then we had to come for the committee. As I said, if the entire space is calculated like a front yard calculation, we have no problem. But because of the bylaw is written such a way that side yards are calculated between the edge of the house itself, that's why we are going out on the calculations. That's why we are asking for the variance here today.
Okay, thank you, Yasu. Members of the committee, any more questions? If none, Member Macaulay.
Madam Chair, can we ask staff to show the staff drawing, which takes that paving out to the street line?
Which drawing would that be?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, the site plan? Okay.
The site plan. And I guess I just wanted to identify that, yes, the paving is the entire width of the house, regardless of the fact that the garage is only at I would say the south end of the house. I'm not sure if that's the correct location. But I don't really see a need for the interlocking to come from the street across the entire width of the house back out to the street into being a circular driveway. I note that the community planning have suggested that this is not in character with the physical setting of the streetscape. And we also have a couple of objectors. So those are my comments at this stage.
Okay, thank you, Member Macaulay. I'm just cognizant of the time here. So if there are any pressing comments, please hold on to them. We'll go to our speakers now and then hear from them and then come back. So thank you, Yasu, and thank you, members of the committee. Can I have the screen back, please? Thank you. Can we have Kim Kurgianis online with us, please? Right, thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak. This is a corner lot. It's in a street, Lamont, which is south of Shepherd and west of Midland. This particular street has been run down. It's derelict, and there's a lot of houses there that are getting older and tired. And this is a house that was upgraded, and hopefully other houses will certainly be adjoining to this. As the former councillor in the area, I was approached by the owner of the house to see if we can assist him. This circular driveway is not out of character in the area. There's other driveways in the immediate area just north of Shepherd. For example, on Reedmount, on Maryland, where you got circular driveways, and these were allowed by previous committees of adjustment. You have 6 letters of support. I understand that there were 2 letters that were sent in against it. One of us from the neighbors. It's he said, she said, and the neighbors don't like each other. However, 6 other members, the immediate, like across the street and beside them, have are supporting this. So I think that this should be taken into consideration. And there's other plans in the area that other houses are looking to upgrade and bring new homes in the area, because the houses in the area were built back in the late 50s, early 60s, and they're starting to fall apart. So having taken that into consideration and looking forward to to beautifying the area and making the area become better, I think that this should be given into consideration, that this is the first house of many more houses that will be to upgrade it. And to state that this is out of character of the area, I will say to you that the character of the area is changing. There is applications on the street, just up the street, just south of Shepherd, for more houses to be built in this fashion. And a change is going to be good, and it will also revitalize the area. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Jim, for your comments. Any questions for Jim? Okay, I see none. Thank you. We move on to speak with our next speaker, David. He's not there. Okay. So David Pichinas was listed as a speaker, and he's not online. Now I'm going to go back to Yasu. Yasu, you heard the comments from Jim. I guess they're supportive of this application. Anything else that you would like to add before we move into the committee?
Yes, please. Like we are just looking only the side yard area calculations as per the zoning. But what my appeal is that we should consider the whole project as one component. And if this circular driveway comes in the front yard, it meets the requirement. Unfortunately, we put the garage on the side yard as per the zoning requirement. When a corner lot comes and the garage has to be in the side yard. And when we put the garage on the side yard, the flanked yard is, or the side yard is where we had to put the driveways, and the circular driveways are allowed in the zoning. And the only issue what we have is that this particular area of the proposed hard landscape area versus soft landscape area. like if you look at the second drawing we submitted, can we get the second drawing, please, for the presentation drawing?
You mean the landscape plan?
Yeah, the landscape plan. It's a presentation drawing. The second one is a black and white drawing. Yeah, the other one, the second one.
Oh, the another one? Oh,
Yes. See, if you look at this one, see the total area of the whole house, how much the green landscape area is. And the if the circular driveway comes onto the Lamont Avenue itself, that means on the other side, it will comply and there won't be any problem. But because of the garage is on the side, the flanked yard, we are going into this problem. And as I said, the calculation is done as per the side yard, not as per the entire front yard. And if you look at the whole landscape area of the entire lot, it is more, like if you look at the numbers at the bottom, it's more than what is required. And then it's the whole idea of required landscape area is to have a good the water absorbed into the ground and then it's treated properly instead of the water is discharged to the street for over jamming the sanitary system or the storm system. But because of, if you look at the overall plan, look at the area of the hard landscape area compared to the soft landscape area, this is where it meets a purpose and it serves what the actual zoning bylaw is written for, to have the landscape area. I think on that basis, if you look at the entire project as it is, it meets the requirement of the zoning bylaws, and I say that even the numbers are coming big numbers on the calculations, but it's a minor in nature.
okay. Thank you very much, Yasu. I think we had a good discussion on it. I'll take the matter into committee now. Committee members? Maybe we can leave that plan up on the screen, Ali. I can see all the speakers, so it's okay. Any comments? I think we would need to refer to this. Any comments or, Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you, Yasser, for your comments. And thank you to the former councillor for his comments about this is going to be an area that is going to undergo a lot of changes. And certainly considering that this is an area undergoing a number of changes, I think my concern has been heightened, really, that is this an area where we want to see extensive circular driveways extending the entire width or length of the house. And if it's approved here, we can guarantee that the next houses in the area that are changed will also have those circular driveways. We've already seen a pattern created.
But sorry, Member Macaulay, I want to just add a comment that circular driveways are permitted. The variance, the circular driveways are permitted under the zoning. The variance before us is related to the landscaping calculation. So it's not about circular driveways. It's about how, because of the circular driveway fronting Lamont, how technically, the side yards are being calculated or the soft landscaping is being calculated for both the yards.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, for that clarification, because my concern certainly was the amount of paving in this side yard and seeing that as a circular driveway. I'll have no further comments.
Thank you very much. Any other comment? Member McKay, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So there is a community planning staff report, and their concern or issue does seem to be the landscaping. And they really recommending, or at least they're saying that they don't feel that the intent of the official plan and zoning are met. So I think that has to be in the front of our minds. And based on that, I can't support the variance that's being asked for this morning.
Okay, thank you very much for your comment. If there are no further comments, can I please have a motion on this application? Ah. All right. I can't do rock, paper, scissors. I'll go with Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Looking at the variance before us today, the variance number 1, which is about the landscaping on the side yard, I am not convinced by that this variance is a minor variance. So with that, I feel this is not a minor variance. I move the motion for refusal of this application.
May I have a seconder, please? Member Macaulay.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been refused. Thank you. Okay, we go to our next item that was held, item 4, 215 GREYABBEY Trail. Can we have Jesse, Raju, Kenneth, please? No? Okay, all right. Can we have the next agent, Faisal Ahmed? Hello, Faisal. Hello?
Through the chair.
Hello, Faisal, are you with us?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm here.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we have your application that we're going to be hearing now for 215 GREYABBEY Trail. And it was deferred at the September 22nd hearing at the request of the applicant to address concerns raised by the neighbors. You're back here. Would you like to advise if you did meet with the neighbors at all to consult with them about their concerns?
Yes, the owner, he did. They spoke to many neighbors, and they consulted with some of the neighbors. And
Okay.
sitting with the owner, we did some significant effort to make some changes to satisfy the neighbors.
Okay, and then I see that there's also an additional revised public notice, right? So would you like to make a presentation or would you like to dive into the questions?
No, I think I'll hand over this to Tarun. She is also a speaker here.
Okay, all right, Tarun.
And she will have the presentation. She'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Tarun.
Hello.
Yes, Tarun, thank you. So Tarun, would you like to make a presentation and speak to the revised application?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and everyone present. So we have made significant changes this time after September 22 hearing because we wanted to satisfy the neighbors and because our owner wants to be the part of the neighborhood. So we are here with our changes. This time we are listing 7 variances. And initially, the very first initially, we had 13 variances, and from 13 we went to 8, then 8 to 7. This time we have 7 variances, out of which the first one, which is proposed building setback, which will remain as it is. Talking about second, lot coverage, which is 0.41. We are reducing from 0.41 to 0.40 this time. And
Just
the
bear with
third,
me, Tarun. Just bear with me. We're pulling up the list of the variances,
yeah,
and
sure.
just to make sure we're on the right, looking at the right piece here. So I'm looking. So variance number 1, you said that it remains the same.
Yes, it
Okay.
will remain the same.
Okay. What about variance number
And
2?
the variance number 2, I think this is not the updated one which you are presenting because which I have December 30th. It says proposed lot coverage is 0.41.
Okay, so that's a variance number 3. So I don't know which one you have, but this is the one that we have on our package.
Okay, okay, 0.41, which now will be 0.40.
Okay, can you go through the list that is on the screen so that everyone who has received this agenda can follow you then? So what's on the
Okay,
screen here?
fine. So yeah, the first one will remain as it is. And the second one is maximum floor area, which is 0.84. We will reduce it to 0.70.
70 or 77?
0.70, which is 0.77 I have in my copy, the hard copy which I'm having, but we are reducing from 0.77 to 0.70.
Okay, so just bear with me, staff. Can you make that correction then? Um,
Through the chair, I just need a confirmation here because we haven't received any confirmation that is this a subsequent revision since the public hearing notice was issued?
Yeah, these are the new amendments, new proposals from December 30th, dated December 30th, public hearing notice we have.
Okay, so here's what the problem is, Colin. The one on the agenda has an initial date of September 13th, okay? September 12th, when it was first heard, and someone has taken that notice and made the amendments on it in red. But now the latest notice that was sent out on December 30th, we should have technically a copy of that notice and with the amendments. So just bear with me for a second, Tarun.
Yeah. No, September.
That's the problem. We have the incorrect one.
In what? Which day? Month?
Yeah, that's what happened, yeah. Okay, so how do you want to proceed, Colin?
Through the chair, I think continue to use this as a guide for the applicant's presentation.
Or maybe what we can do is maybe we can, as Jesse.
Or we can revise it. We can revise it as the presentation is going.
Yeah, because that would be more appropriate because not everyone's looking at the December 30th notice, right? Okay, so Tarun, we've run into a bit of an issue. Apparently the amendments were shown on the previous version of the notice from September 12th. So now you'll have to help us here. We're going to, on the screen, you see the notice that went out on December 30th. Now, could you go one by one and so that we can make the revisions as we go? Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So variance number 1 remains the same?
Yes, it remains the same.
Okay. Variance number 2?
Yeah, lot coverage from 0.41, we are now further reducing to 0.40. This is the new changes that we have proposed.
Okay, so number 1's same. Number 2 goes down to 0.40. And what is the square footage? At 0.40. Should be very minor.
Just a moment. It will be 335.79 square meters. I have in square meters.
No, it can be. It cannot be. If 0.41 is 196.67, 0.40 cannot be 396. Got to be less. Okay, we leave it at that because it's the lot coverage. So you're saying it's 0.40, so that's sufficient for now.
Yeah.
We move to number 3.
Yeah, number 3 is the height, which is 8.94 meters what I'm seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
We are now further into 8 meters.
How much? 8?
8 meters.
Okay. So variance number 3.
This was.
Yeah. So variance number 3 being revised to proposed height of 8 meters.
Yes.
Number 4, please.
Number 4, building length will remain as is.
4 as is, okay.
Yeah.
Number 5.
5 will also remain as is.
So number 5 remains as is. Number 6.
Yeah. And the 6th is lot maximum floor area, which is from 0.77. We are reducing to 0.70.
Okay, and do you have the square meters for that?
Yeah, 335.79 square meters.
Yeah, that's, I think, what you were referring to earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, now number 7.
Yeah, number 7, height, which from 8.94 to 8 meters.
Okay, all right. So in total, we have 7 variances on the December 30th notice, which was
Yeah.
circulated to everyone. I will repeat.
Yes.
Variance number 1 remains the same. Variance number 2, the proposed lot coverage is now 0.40. Variance number 3, the proposed height is now 8 meters. So it's been modified. Variance number 4 remains as is, no change. Variance number 5 remains as is, no change. Variance number 6 has been modified, and now the proposed maximum floor area is 0.70, which equates to 335 square meters. And variance number 7 has been modified, and the proposed maximum height now is 8 meters.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Committee members. So we've seen further reductions or further modifications, but predominantly remains the same. In terms of the
Excuse me, Madam
December
Chair.
30th. Yes, Mohammed?
Madam Chair, could you repeat variance number 6, the floor area changes? Sorry for that.
Okay, no problem. So variance number 6 has been modified now, and now the proposed maximum floor area is 0.70, which equates to 335 square meters. Okay. Okay, Jesse, sorry, Tarun, any further comments?
Yeah, madam, we also saw that there are nearby houses which have the equivalent maximum floor area in FSI, like 189 GREYABBEY. And then further, we have made significantly changes in from if we compare our initial application, and now first we had 13 and then 8 to 7 and FSI and lot coverage. So we are here to satisfy the neighbors, and we are putting our best foot forward this time. Therefore, I humbly request everyone to please take this proposal into consideration.
Okay, thank you very much, Tarun. Member Macaulay, you have your hand up. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that the applicant has changed the numbers. Does the applicant have any plans that show those changes?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Right now, currently, we haven't submitted those plans to the city, but surely we will submit the plans to the city, the revised plans with these changes. Zoning examiner, if it
Okay.
is approved today.
Okay, thank you very much, Jesse. Oh, sorry, Tarun. Okay.
No problem.
Now let's move, and we are going to have our first speaker, Robert A. Harper. Robert, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you,
And
sir.
I'm here.
You have
I'm
5
here
minutes.
and okay, I'm here, and I'm also Christine Penny. We're using the same computer.
Okay, all right. So Robert, you and Christine are speaking together. Okay.
Well, one will speak. I'll speak first, and Christine can speak.
Okay, thank you.
Pascal Perron is scheduled to speak, and he's going to speak on a number of issues relative to the size of the building, all the variances, et cetera, et cetera. And what I wanted to do is they're going to speak to that, or he's going to speak to that in great detail. But I wanted to amplify some of the things about the building itself. And it's an insult to the overall Guildwood community and our specific neighborhood that this structure represents. The structure is too big for the lot, which I'll talk about in a minute. It doesn't fit. It's like having a dining room table in your home and the dining room table fits, but if you get one 3 times the size of that, it doesn't fit. So this building just doesn't fit with the lot. It will encroach on the neighbors. And the overall structure that is being represented doesn't work in the Gilwood community, that's for sure. Yes, there's been some small changes that have been outlined to the size of the building, but basically, virtually, it's the same building and it's virtually the same size. And I'm saying that how many times do we have to go around the merry-go-round until the applicant realizes we don't want this size of building anywhere in Gilwood? It's too large. And it's my understanding that the Committee of Adjustments decides on appeals for minor variance to the existing bylaws. And the existing bylaws are noted, and there's 4 tests that the committee makes a decision on, which you know. But I'm speaking on behalf of ourselves and the other speakers and the other people that are concerned about this building. And first, the change must be minor. Well, the variants go from 17% to 24% to 54%, and there's nothing minor about those variances at all. And that's where I say, even with the minor changes that have been made, it's too big for the size of the lot. It's just, it doesn't work. Secondly, the change must be desirable and appropriate. Well, the proposed structure as presented would change the complexion and landscape of the neighborhood in a destructive way. And it just doesn't fit with Guild in the Guild area. You know, once there's been several articles over the years that Guild was the hidden jewel within Toronto, and it should be kept that way. I'm not saying there shouldn't be new houses built, but build them so that it fits in with the neighborhood. Third, that it meets the general intent and purpose of the bylaws. Currently, the plan that's been presented do not meet the bylaws, and the bylaws would need to be changed, and in so doing, that's the danger. You change the bylaws to suit this particular building, then all of Gilwood, the complexion would change. It would not be the Guild area as we know it today. It would be an ugly mess, to be frank with you, in my opinion. And fourth, that it meets the intent of the official plan. Well, it doesn't meet the intention of the intent of the official plan. So recapping is that the residents close by and the residents of Gilwood, we're not just speaking of the neighbors 1 or 2 houses around the proposed site. We're talking about all of Gilwood. They don't want it. Gilwood doesn't want this type of building to be built. We don't want the bylaws to be changed so it changes the complexion. Local councillors don't want it. There's been letters written to the council, which I'm sure you've read. I'm sure you read all the other protest letters that have been sent. And the Gilwood Village Association, they don't want it. So we're hoping that with all conscience, the Committee of Adjustments will rule against this application by voting no. And one other quick point, I don't understand personally how the application got this far along in the planning stages. This building has been presented to the planning department level, and the variants are so broad and so large that I can't understand why the planning committee didn't say to the applicant, hey, you better have another look at this.
Sir, your time's up, so I guess we can wrap up the comments now.
Well, yeah, I will. I just, thanks for listening, and I hope you underline the line or the word listening. So I'll go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. We certainly are listening and we are considering and thinking about it as we are preparing to make a decision on it. But thank you for your time. We're going to go on to our next speaker, and I believe you mentioned Christine Penny is with you. So in terms of the order, the way we had it on the list, it was yourself, Robert, then we had Pascal, and Christy Jennings, Christine Penny, and Matthew. So I guess I'm going to stick with that order, just so that everyone's aware. So I'm going to go to Pascal now.
Morning.
Good morning, Pascal. So, Pascal, sir, you have 5 minutes and your time starts now. Please tell us, and again, we've certainly heard your comments, your neighbors' comments as well, so don't repeat. If you have anything new to add, that would be great. Keeping in mind and focusing on the variances.
Thank you for the opportunity to present my concerns. I was planning on going through my letter, not in details, but just to touch again on the points that I've submitted for your consideration. And also add a few new comments. Okay, so there are 7 variances, 6 of which I personally object to. I believe the neighborhood objects to as well. Variance 1, the side lot line setback. This is equal to 2 feet or 50% more than the bylaw. And I want to say that this would be experienced as a direct encroachment on the adjacent neighbors' properties. Also, if this reduced setback were to be approved and become the norm in our neighborhood, this could result in only approximately 4 feet separating residences. This isn't the norm in our neighborhood, and I don't think anyone except the applicant would like this. Variance 2, lot coverage. I understand this has been changed slightly, but I still believe this will clock in at approximately 20% more than the bylaw allows. And in my opinion, this is not a minor variance. Permitting excessive lot coverage could distort the neighborhood appearance and will also encroach on neighboring residences. Flat roof height. I personally have major objections to buildings that are considerably higher than the bylaw allows. In this case, again, this has been revised. I think it's still almost 3 feet more than the maximum allowed by the bylaw. And in my opinion, this is not a minor variance. And what I want to say about flat roof height, I'll repeat what I said in my letter, that I believe that additional building height has the potential to be most disruptive to a neighborhood and should therefore be considered very carefully. This additional 3 feet beyond the maximum height stipulated by the current bylaw is significant in my opinion. And it's not compatible with the houses in this neighborhood that all conform to the bylaw height limits. Also, such additional height would inordinately block sun rays, sky, and tree views for adjacent neighbors, and it would obviously result in a destabilizing deviation of longstanding residential development rules for the Fieldwood Village community. Concerning height again, I just want you, and this was in my letter, that you please consider that even small amounts of additional building height, whether flat or pitched roof, can still be detrimental for adjoining neighbors, and therefore the preferred outcome would be to request plans be redrawn to stay as close as possible to the height limit bylaw. Building length, no objection. That's only 2.5% requested. Rear yard setback, this is approximately 17.1% more. I believe this will encroach on side and rear residences as well. The floor area, was this changed? Yeah, it was 0.77. They reduced to 0.7. So I still think it's going to clock in the 40% plus beyond the bylaw, which in my opinion is not a minor variance. The agent mentioned that there was a similar house with similar square footage, but let's be clear. If that's the case, that particular house, and I know that house, I believe they have a bigger lot, and they're certainly not at 40-some% beyond the bylaw. So I want to say that this much additional floor area is incompatible with the other smaller family dwellings of this neighborhood. Similar argument. And last but not least, the parapet wall height. Again, this was reduced to 8 meters, so approximately 3 feet, or maybe not exactly sure the percentage. I didn't have a chance to calculate. This is last minute notice for all us neighbors here. But I want to say that height is not a minor variance in my opinion. And again, let me restate that I believe height variances are most obvious and detrimental to the neighborhood. In summary, please note that the application is for 7 variances, 6 of which are still arguably not minor variances. It's clear to me, and this I'll kind of echo what Bob mentioned. It's clear to me and the vast majority of neighbors that this application represents a colossal bill that is not consistent nor compatible with the characteristics of the existing low-profile bungalows and 2-story single-family dwellings of this neighborhood. In particular, the excessive height as well as the excessive gross floor area. These are not minor variances, in my opinion, and approving them would most certainly have a destabilizing impact on the Guildwood Village. And in closing, let me remind you that over 135 petitioners, that's the tip of the iceberg, by the way, objected to another similar oversized bill designed by the same engineering firm being proposed only 100 meters away at 197 Grey Abbey Trail. I strongly believe that all those petitioners would also object to this application for the same reasons, as Bob stated, that this is an undesirable building proposal because it seeks to excessively breach many current bylaws, and as such is not compatible and does not respect this neighborhood. I hope that you will do what is right and fair by denying this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Pascal. Any questions for Pascal? Okay, I see none. We move on to our next speaker, Christy Jennings. And again, I'm going to repeat that please do not repeat from your written submissions. We have your written submissions. We have read it. If there's anything else or new you want to add, we're certainly here to listen to you. Okay, Christy Jennings.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Christy Jennings. I'm legal counsel to Gerda Hunekin, who is the owner of the property known municipally as 213 Grey Abbey Trail, as well as Georgios Athonos, who is the owner of the property known municipally as 4 Denny Court. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to the application today. As the chair mentioned, I did file written submissions, so I'll try to be brief in these oral submissions. Both of my clients own lands that are directly adjacent to the subject property. Ms. Hunekin's property abuts the eastern side of the subject property, and Mr. Athonos' property abuts the backyard of the subject property. In addition to undermining the character of this stable neighborhood, my clients will experience significant adverse impacts if the proposed development is allowed. These impacts will include overlook and privacy concerns from the increased height and reduced setbacks. They will also be particularly impacted by the overbearing massing that is being proposed on this site, which I'll speak to more in a moment. I was very surprised to hear the applicant say this morning that he sat down with many of the neighbors. I can tell you neither of my clients have been consulted by the applicant, and the applicant has not reached out to me as a representative. So the applicant claims he has sat down and spoken with many neighbors, yet I represent 2 of the budding landowners and confirm today that they have not been consulted. I'm not sure who the applicant has allegedly been consulting with, but I'd like to have an explanation why he felt my clients, who are directly impacted by this proposal, should not have a seat at that table. Rarely do you see good planning get achieved when an applicant refuses to engage with the directly impacted landowners. The applicant has taken a flawed approach to the planning process by excluding my clients from this conversation, and I am skeptical as to who he has actually been consulting with. Unsurprisingly, the outcome of this flawed process is a proposed development that does not respect or reinforce the existing character of the neighborhood. As a reminder, the application before you today is only one of 2 developments that the applicant has proposed along Grey Abbey Trail. He filed a similar application for 197 Grey Abbey Trail, which was denied by the committee at its December 8th, 2021 meeting. At that meeting, the committee expressed serious concerns with the applicant's failure to engage the community and asked the applicant to explain why he has not made any attempt to work with the neighbors. The applicant told the committee he was not prepared to answer that question. I think my clients deserve an answer today. If the applicant really did sit down with many neighbors, why was there no attempt to talk with my clients? Picking and choosing what stakeholders to engage is unacceptable and is not how planning should be done in Toronto. While the process is only one piece of the puzzle, in this case, the process is what has led to the unacceptable outcome before the committee today. An unacceptable outcome that has attracted 27 letters of opposition from this neighborhood. The applicant is going to ask you to focus on the changes made, but what I'm asking the committee and what the community is asking the committee to focus on is what is still being asked for. Pascal did a great job going over the variances, so I'm not going to repeat them here. I just want to point to 2 that were not changed and are of particular importance to my clients. First, reducing the side yard setback by 50%, which directly impacts my client, Ms. Hunekin, at 213 Grey Abbey Trail, and reducing the rear yard setback by 1.4 meters, which directly impacts my client, Mr. Athonos, at 4 Denny Court. All the variances are indicators that this is an overdevelopment of the site. And I have one last point to make, and I'm going to ask you to remember this point in particular when you make your decision. As I'm sure you're all well aware, the policy language in section 4.1.5 of the official plan was strengthened through OPA 320, which was approved by the LPAT as it then was in 2018. I respectfully submit that this was a direct message from Council that they are committed to protecting stable neighborhoods. Of particular importance to this case is that OPA 320 added the words prevailing to policies 4.1.5, sub C, sub F, and G, which means that new development in established neighborhoods needs to respect and reinforce the prevailing height, the prevailing massing, the prevailing scale, the prevailing density, the prevailing side yard setbacks, and the prevailing patterns of rear yards. In my respectful submission, there is no possible way for the application before you to meet this test. In every case, the applicant seeks to depart what is prevailing instead of respecting and reinforcing. For all these reasons, and for all the reasons set out in my correspondence of January 6th, on behalf of my clients, I'm asking the committee to find that the proposed development does not meet the test enumerated in section 45(1) of the Planning Act. Subject to any questions, those are my submissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy, for your comments. Members of the committee, any questions for Christy? I see none. Okay, all right. We will certainly confirm when we go back to the applicant as to why the consultation did not take place between your client and the owner. Now, can I have Christine Penny? And I believe she was with Robert. Hello.
Good morning. I'm here.
All right, perfect, Christine. So you have 5 minutes, and you can tell us what your concerns are. If your concerns have already been spoken for by other neighbors, and you don't have to repeat them, but we're certainly here to listen to any new comments that you may have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The most, or if not all, the comments that have been mentioned previously, which all the neighbors in this neighborhood are very concerned about. You know, bylaws are there for a reason. They must be upheld. We are all in this neighborhood for a reason because it is so, oh gosh, just a nice, great neighborhood that respects everyone's properties. This is clearly a disrespect of the neighborhood and the properties. I mean, imagine walking down the property line and you can actually reach and touch the other house. Like, that's not appropriate. I won't go on too long because it's everyone has spoken quite clearly on the issues, but I would really want this to be refused because it's not clearly fitting into the neighborhood. It's not. There's no benefit to anyone other than the applicant, and I understand his desire. However, it must fit into the neighborhood. There's too much green space being removed, and we do need this to be squashed if possible. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Any comments for Christine? All right, I see none. Thank you. We now go to our last speaker, Matthew Apostoli. Matthew, you with us?
Hi, yes, thanks for having me. Yes, I am. Thanks for having me, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My wife and I moved to the street in 2013, and we had hopes to raise a family, and we did so. You know, we appreciated the curb appeal and everything else that comes with it, as well as the community. We ended up renovating our house. In fact, I live at 189 GREYABBEY, the house that was mentioned by the applicant. And when we built our home, to respect the community, knowing that we were going to live here for quite some time, we wanted to do so in partnership with our neighborhood. So my wife and I took it upon ourselves to build plans within the bylaws and work with our community in those plans. We went door to door getting letters of acceptance by our neighbors, and we did have minor variances. Those minor variances were at most, I think, 6.5% greater than what the bylaws permitted. And they were brought forth upon you guys, and you guys all actually approved them. And I was able to build my house. I find this application a bit offensive, like the neighbors have mentioned, because they did not consult myself or other neighbors, despite the ask and appeal from you guys in the last session that we had. I also find that this process is a bit sloppy, if I may add. The fact that we received a notice and then the revisions changed on the notice 5 hours or minutes before this hearing is a waste of your time, my earnings, my income, as well as our tax dollars that support you in this council. I will add that there was a reference in terms of my FSI, and Pascal had addressed it in terms of my lot size being larger. That is accurate. The maximum was 238 square meters, because I'm looking at my file right now, which the applicant has access to do so as well, from what I understand. And I'm only, I proposed and built 56.5%. What the applicant had actually submitted in even this revision today is still a 40% variance to that maximum 50%, which is quite significant. So I will finally add kind of, I'm sort of distraught that the community was advised, because the community was not consulted by the applicant, like uttermost lie. Number two, again, false information in regards to my property. And then finally, if something like this gets built, I have a young family. This is precedent for other people to come in and do the exact same thing. I don't want to live in this neighborhood anymore, and I know my fellow neighbors would. And if this hearing was not virtual, I am sure you would have a lot more community members at the forum in person. So because this is an elderly neighborhood, I'm taking time out of my busy day to attend this hearing, to have their voices heard, because, it's difficult for them in a virtual setting. So I'll leave it like that. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Matthew. Committee members, any questions for Matthew? Okay, thanks. Appreciate everyone taking the time of the day to come and speak with us. All right, so we are going to go back to our agent, Tarun.
Yes, ma'am.
So Tarun, first of all, I'm also curious to know in terms of public consultation, the reason for deferral of the application was to consult with the neighbors. And when we say consult with the neighbors, we at the least expect that at least the immediate neighbors would be consulted, if not everyone. So what happened there? Do you know what happened? And was the owner able to meet with the neighborhood residents?
Yeah, ma'am, Mr. Faisal would like to comment on this. Can you please allow him?
Sure. Eric, can we please have Faisal? Faisal, please go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yes, Madam Chair. We sat with the owner after we got the deferral. We sat with the owner, discussed with the owner many times about the changes and talking to the neighbors. And he personally spoke to the neighbors. I don't know exactly if he, most probably he didn't. That's why the owner agent for 213 GREYABBEY, he mentioned that they didn't, the owner didn't speak to him. Maybe he didn't. He missed. I don't know how, but he spoke to some of the neighbors. Even the owner of 215 GREYABBEY realized that even some of the owners who signed in the objection letter, they even didn't know what they're signing for. They even didn't clearly understand what they're signing for and what are the exactly objections. But anyway, that could happen sometimes. The people, those who were organizing the objection letters, maybe they had less time to explain. It happens. But even they signed, they didn't really worried about those variances. They said, okay, let's go ahead. And next thing I'd like to mention that I heard from the speakers, with due respect, that most of them they're mentioning about disrespecting the neighbors. I mean, it's I don't know why they are feeling in this way. There is no intention of disrespecting the neighbors, whereas this owner of 215 GREYABBEY intend to live there with his family. So why he would or they would disrespect the neighbors? So we are here applying for minor variances, and there is an option from the city to give us opportunity to apply for minor variances, which are like asking a little bit more than the zoning bylaw that we are doing here. And if you see the sequences, that with the number of variances we applied, then in the deferral got deferred, and the number of variances we reduced. We tried our best to reduce as much as possible, and we reviewed the objects, all the objections. Most of them are focused on the height, building height. If you consider this, the allowable building height is 9 meters there, and we are proposing 8 meters. and which is 0.8 meter from the allowable for a flat. So we're not going 9.5, we're not going asking for more than 9 meters. So it is a minor variance and it should be acceptable. And we reduce the lot coverage to reduce the floor area as much as possible. And the last speaker, Matthew, I'm sorry, Matthew, if we give any wrong information, not like intentional false information. Sometimes when we get the calculation from the city zoning bylaw, you know that probably that we have to take the manual measurements. So sometimes it might be wrong, but there is no intention to give any false information about your property or as a reference. That was an maybe if it is not 0.7, then it is an unintentional mistake from our end. We didn't mean to like represent any false information property. Anyway, so what I'm trying to explain that we tried our best to reduce as much as possible. And even I would like to request the committee, if you advise like us to tell, okay, reduce this, we do that. We're still we're open to do that. If you still feel to, okay, let us give us any just specific point that okay, as you do this, we'll do that. But we don't want to like go any. We don't want to like make the neighbors unhappy. We have no intention of that. That's why we spend a lot of time with the owner and ourselves. You can see that how many changes we did, and you understand that how much time it takes to make these changes at this point. So that's all, Madam Chair and the respected committee members. Please, help us in this. We have no intention to do something very unusual. And the size of the building is, in fact, is not very unusual. And some of the speakers, they compared basically with the small houses, old houses. And, the changes are happening. Gradually, these neighborhoods, all the houses are old. Eventually, it will change. Everybody will, today or tomorrow, after 2 years, 5 years, they will build new houses, do additions. It will change. So I think we have to accept this too. These changes, this development, these are positive development. These are not impacting or disrespecting the neighbors. And this is increasing even if you think the value-wise, it is increasing the value and decency of the neighborhood. Because new houses, it looks like it changed the look of the neighborhood too. So if you think in that positive way, that will be also very kind.
Okay.
And that's all for now. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Faisal. I appreciate that. I have a question regarding the side yard setback. Why do you have to be, and this is in particular to the first variance, the minimum building setback, and you're requesting for 0.6. Why is there a need to go that close to the property line? Why is this reduction in the side yard setback required?
Just, okay. That was because of the design and the floor area. And if it makes people happy, we can take that out. I know I cannot give you the exact what will be the impact if I reduce that, eliminate that variance. I'm not sure what will the impact on the other like lot coverage. It will impact the lot coverage. It will impact FSI, but I won't be able to tell you right now. But if it is an issue, we can eliminate that, number one.
I'm not suggesting elimination. I was just asking the
I
reason
understand.
why you have to be that close. I mean, cumulatively what this does is, and not just this variance, but cumulatively all these variances lend towards a larger built form, right? And I think that goes with what was expressed in the comments in terms of the prevailing character. So yes, you're allowed to have your 2 stories. Yes, you're allowed to have your 2-story house at perhaps at 9 meters with a pitched roof. And I see all that at all. There will certainly be, council is certainly anticipating new built form here with 2-story massing, with 9 meters of height and whatnot. But I think the other variances or the other regulations help in controlling that massing and sort of, so that it stays with the character or with the prevailing character or even with the planned character in the future for this building. So I'm not stuck with the bungalows or with what's existing today, but I'm also looking at what's prevailing and what is potentially anticipated in the future. But I think once you start adding little by little to every variance, it starts to add to the cumulative effect, right? So just a thought. Again, I'm not suggesting that you eliminate it, but just a thought, and maybe this gets flushed out through further deliberations as we proceed. So that was my question. And I'm going to now defer to the committee and committee members. Any questions?
Just one thing, sorry, Madam Chair. Sorry if you can hear me. Sorry about that. Just to let you know and the committee that we can eliminate.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
as you know, we don't want to entertain a lot of revisions. There was already a confusion with the original notice and then some changes that were made, so now we're asking more. So let's park it for now until we go through the deliberation and see where we arrive at. And if need be, then we'll talk about it. But I want to hear what the committee members have to say or if they have any questions. Committee members.
Thank
you. Member Macaulay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the first two speakers were very clear as to what are the items that we need to consider. In a variance, the proposal is to maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. And we've got 7 variances here. 3 of them I would look at. One is a side yard reduction, one is a rear yard reduction, and one is a height. Overall, that makes a big difference on this lot. Because, and I'm not even talking about coverage, I'm talking about your building is larger and bigger, and it impacts your neighbors more than what the zoning bylaw anticipated, or is in fact good planning. You're encroaching is the word. So does this maintain the general purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw? No, the zoning bylaw did not expect you to encroach on your neighbors. The second one is the speaker who said, is this desirable? Is this desirable for the appropriate development of the land, cumulative effect? Sorry. The second one talked about the official plan and the prevailing character of the community. We know that this community is changing. One of the neighbors has already changed. I've been out there now for at least the second time because we're getting changes in this community and we're seeing changes. But we're looking at changes that maintain the prevailing character of the community so that it fits in, and that's a term that I use often. We want to see new development fit in with the character of the community. Those are my comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Macaulay. But again, I just want to reiterate, there's a prevailing character and then there is an anticipated or a planned character, right? So as you mentioned, change is happening, there will be changes, but as long as it does not distort that, the perceived or the anticipated character. And I think little by little, these things start to add, but I think we have to be context specific as well in for each case. Change is inevitable, it's going to change. And then change is often a little difficult. At this point,
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, I acknowledge that there is changes. I've already said that. I've also acknowledged that the prevailing character of the community is what the OP and the zoning bylaw determine. It's not that we're going to change seven separate provisions of the zoning bylaw and say that is now the prevailing character.
Correct. So we have to be sensitive to those things and see which ones are changing that character, right? So which variances in particular. Okay, so at this point, any more questions or comments? Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick short comment, actually 2 comments. So after hearing all these speakers, one point which comes to my mind, definitely the piece of communication between the 2 parties, I mean the owners and the neighborhood. was missing, and that was the prime objective of the deferral of this application 3 months before. I don't say, Faisal, you haven't tried. You may have tried it, but it would have been more ideal and more productive if more number of neighbors were consulted, because I hear it very loudly from 2 or 3 speakers that they have never been consulted on this plan. And especially when you are so flexible and you are showing to change even the side yard setback, as the you mentioned one of the comments to the Madam Chair, you are willing to delete that. Also, you may be considering at some point the height, which is variance number 3 and 7. I think that is really missing. Even at this point, the consultation was not that to that level, which was actually desirable. My second comment, I echo Member Ann's comments on that. Changes are occurring, and we always appreciate good changes, right? The positive changes, which should be matching to the character and culture of the street. I feel this development in the current shape and with these variances is still overdevelopment, and it's not perfectly mixing into the culture of the street. So that's my comments on that.
Thank you, Member Said. All right, if there are no further comments, I will close the matter now and take it into. Before I do that, I just want to give 30 seconds to Faisal to wrap up the comments and before we go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, committee. Again, I'd like to request you to consider these minor variances. As we know that, if I'm not wrong, from my last many years working with zoning bylaw, I didn't find any specific definition of minor variance. What is the percentage if we go more? Then it will be minor, or it won't be considered as minor, major. So I didn't find, maybe, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. So maybe I didn't see any specific area in a definition that it says this is minor variance. For example, if we go for 40%, or if it is major or minor, or if we go for 60, then it is major, or it's not minor. So we don't know yet. I think maybe I'm not, maybe I'm wrong. So I like focusing on this point also. I'd like to emphasize again that these variances are minor, and nothing is violating the neighborhood characteristic. Well, right now the neighborhood is not like this. Of course I agree with that, because most of the 98% houses are old. So this character, if we compare with this existing old character, yes, we are whoever is built even 189, he didn't comply with the characteristics of the neighborhood. Matthew's house, this 215, it will not comply with the characteristics of the existing neighborhood. So if we consider that, because this neighborhood, this character is changing, so I don't know which character we will go by. But again, the zoning bylaw, we have 7 variances. Again, as I said before, that we have these options from the city to apply for minor variance to committee of the adjustment. The owner is, we are using this, taking this opportunity for minor variance. So I'd like to request the committee again, please. We've been already deferred, and you have seen that how many effort we given to make these changes. And again, I'd like to mention the comment of member side. Yes, maybe we would have done better communicating with the neighborhood, with the neighbors. He tried, the owner, he tried himself. He didn't, most probably he didn't, he couldn't reach many of them, because it's COVID time. If you knock the door, they won't open the door. It's stranger,
Okay.
if they know. So in some reasons, some way they couldn't communicate with the neighbors. And we're sorry about that. Maybe we could have done better. I agree with that. But please, I'd like to request again. Thank you very much.
Okay, no, thank you, Faisal. I appreciate that. All right, members of the committee. Any comments? Unless Faisal, unless there's a suggestion of deferral, then we can speak with Faisal if he wants to go back, because he did express that he's willing to, or at least there's a desire or wish to remove or eliminate one of the variances. But again, I don't want to entertain those revisions on the floor because that's going to affect other variances as well. So if that's what the committee may be suggesting, or maybe Faisal is interested in, then we'll certainly have to defer the application. I don't want to entertain those revisions on the floor. It'll be
I can do
too
that.
much. Faisal, it'll be too much. We've already had a lot of concerns expressed
No,
by.
I mean, if you want, I can defer this.
Oh,
and I can
defer this.
eliminate
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, eliminate that because I really want to get it approved, and I don't want the neighbors to be like. We are trying our best to make them like at least.
Okay.
I am sure that we won't be able to make them happy 100%, but at least we are trying.
Okay, no, and I think that would be a good gesture because, let me be honest, I'm also a little concerned. Yes, I understand. I mean, the purpose of this application was to go back and speak with the residents and sort it out. For some reason, it didn't happen the way it should have been. Again, I can't speak to that, but if anything, we would certainly want you to go and speak with the two abutting neighbors, because if you're asking for a reduction in side yard setback, that's impacting them directly. And the representative did mention that, unfortunately, those communication lines weren't established with the two immediate neighbors. So I strongly recommend that you consider deferral and that you go and take care of speaking with the residents and see how else you can modify your application, because that would be my suggestion to you and advice to you.
Sure, Madam Chair, I agree with
Okay, all right. So committee members, any comments? Is that something that you would also prefer, or what are your thoughts? Member McKay?
Yes, Madam Chair. Well, it's disappointing to see fresh revisions today, and it takes some thought to kind of translate that into what the proposed dwelling will be like. It's also disappointing that we deferred this matter before so that interested neighbors could be consulted, and we hear that has not happened. So I just wanted to make those comments, Madam Chair. I couldn't see myself supporting the applications as they are before us today, but if committee decides on a further deferral, I would support that.
Okay, thank you very much, Member McKay. If that's the case, Faisal, are you okay if, should the committee defer this application?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, and there's an acknowledgement from you that there will be a consultation with the neighbors, in particular the two abutting neighbors, and that every effort will be made to modify the application so that your client and the neighbors are happy. Okay?
Yes, Madam Chair. We'll try
Okay.
our best again.
And I would also strongly suggest that all the numbers are fairly shared with all the variances are shared with the neighbors, so they know exactly what the numerical numbers are. I would caution you that, and I don't like to entertain several revisions on the floor. So when we do hear you back at the next hearing, the numbers will be, there will be no opportunity to revise the numbers on the floor. It will be what it will be on the notice. Okay? All right. Thank you. I appreciate your understanding and I appreciate your willingness to defer and then speak with the neighbors, and that's really greatly appreciated. Members of the committee, on that note, may I have a motion, please? Member Said, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate Faisal. You are accommodated, and you want to make another try and attempt to make a consultation, as Madam Chair mentioned. Madam Chair, I will move the motion for deferral of this application, giving more time to the owners or the applicant to have a wide-scale consultations. Also with the understanding that next time there won't be any revisions at the floor, and they will come up with the plan available to show to the committee for consideration. So with those conditions, I move the motion for deferral of this application.
Thank you, Member Said. I think you made a good point. Accurate variances with accurate drawings to the agenda and for the public and also when meeting with the residents. I have a seconder, please. Member Macaulay?
I will second that motion. I would like the motion to read that the applicant has requested deferral in order to reconsider a number of his variances.
Okay, thank you. All right. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been deferred. Sine die? Thank you. All right, and we go to our next item that was held, item number 5. Item number 5 is 59 KELSONIA Avenue. And again, we have the applicant Faisal. Is it going to be Kulvinder or will it be Faisal?
Kulvinder will start.
Okay, thank you. Kulvinder.
Through the chair, we're just having a little technical difficulties getting Kulwinder unmuted. Please stand by.
Sure.
I am Jason. Hello. Uh,
Hi, Kulvinder. You're there with us?
Madam Chair. Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, so Kulvinder, would you like to make a presentation? I think in this case, it would be appropriate to make a presentation to list the variances because it's an amended application, right?
Yes, Madam Chair.
I'm getting you cut off.
We had submitted. Okay.
All right, so you've submitted the variances or the revisions. Would you like to make a presentation and just go recap all the revisions?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yes. We had submitted the revised one on 6th of January.
So the one that we have in our package, it's dated December 30th and it has markups on it, right?
Yeah, this one is fine. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And before I begin, I just want to let everyone know this is an application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with an internal garage, and there's 8 variances listed, but with the modifications, we'll see what final variances are. Okay, go ahead, Kulvinder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to represent 59 KELSONIA's minor variance application. And since we have already submitted the revised zoning waiver, which is currently being shared on the screen, we have made further changes looking towards the neighborhood's objections and happiness of the community. We are willing to reduce more. So for the very first one, which is the FSI, we had reduced it from 0.66 to 0.6 times, which would be now 361.75 square meters. So we have reduced from 398.73 square meters to 361.75 square meters.
Okay, again,
And
I'm
then,
running into the same problem. That's not the one that's shown in the red markups.
Yes, Madam Chair. We are revising more for this because we saw all the objections of the neighborhood.
Oh,
So
you're
we are
further
willing to reduce
revising
more.
this. You're further revising
Yes,
this.
Madam Chair. Exactly.
Okay, all right. So just let me say that. Okay. So to all those who are listening and members of the committee, there was a amended notice that went out on December 30th. That is up on the screen that shows the changes in reds and yellows and greens. This is what has been on the agenda and shared with everyone. Now, today, the applicant is making further changes to the already amended application. Okay, so now Kulvinder, if you can slowly go one by one and say what was the original ask, what was it revised to, and what the final numbers are. Okay, please start.
So the very first variance, we earlier proposed 0.66. The FSI was 0.66, and then we had revised to 0.64. However, now we are further revising it to 0.6 FSI. And now
To
the one which we have
0.6
further
to
revised,
0.6?
yes, 0.6.
Okay.
0.6 exactly. So it will come to be 361.75 square meters.
360,
For the
just
variance
slowly, Kulvinder,
one,
slowly, please. 361,
sure, 360.75.
360.75.
Sorry, it's 361.75.
Okay, just go slowly because there's a lot of numbers here and rushing will not help us. Okay, so variance
I'm sorry
number,
about that.
that's okay. Variance number 1 has been further amended, and now the final FSI is 0.6, and that equates to 361.75 square meters.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. There's some feedback,
Coming to the
Kulvinder.
variance.
There's some feedback. Could you please tell others to not talk? We're getting some feedback.
Sure. 1 second, please. So, is it fine now? I hope
We'll see.
the background is fine.
It's fine.
Okay. So then we have the variance number 2, which was 33.40 we had in this one, and then we have eliminated this one completely. The one which we are proposing now is
Okay.
31.1%.
Okay,
So
so
we have
variance
completely
number 2.
eliminated this one.
So variance
Yeah.
number 2 has been completely eliminated.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Then moving to the variance number 3, we had reduced from 8.38, like we had proposed 10.57, which is in front of all of us. Then we proposed to reduce the height to 8.38 meters, but now we further reducing the height to 7.92 meters.
7.92?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. I confirm that the variance number 3, the final height that's being proposed is 7.92 meters. Okay? Now go to, now let's,
Number 4.
yeah, variance number 4.
It is already mentioned that we are completely eliminated the story 3, the third story. So it has completely eliminated. We are
Okay.
not proposing any third story.
Okay, variance number 4 has been eliminated. Okay, number 5.
Yeah. Moving forward to number 5, which is for the building length. We had proposed earlier 19.69 meters, and we are amending it further. It will be 17.35 meters now.
Okay, so that's substantial revision. Okay, so variance number 5, now the proposed building length is 17.35 meters. Correct?
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes, 17.35, yes.
Okay. Variance number 5, final number is 17.35 meters for the building length. Okay. Now number 6.
Number 6 is for the building depth, which was proposed to be 19.98 meters. Now we are completely eliminated this variance. We are proposing 17.50.
So no variance required for building depth, and it is being removed. Okay, all right.
Madam Chair.
Okay, number 7.
For number 7, we have 3, like we have front, we have rear, and we have rooftop. So as shown, we are eliminating the rooftop variance, and we are also further eliminating the rear variance. There will be only front variance.
Okay, so for variance number 7, The rear and the rooftop platforms variances are being removed, and the front one remains at 7.5 square meters?
Yes, Madam.
Okay, thank you. Only
And then
front.
further variance number, variance 8, which is same. It would be 7.92 as I mentioned earlier on the variance number 3 to the second one. So the height has been reduced from which we have right now shown is 8.38. So we have further reduced to 7.92 meters.
Okay, so variance number 8, further modification, and it is now at 7.92 meters for the building height. Okay, all right. Now, just in a few seconds, tell us why these changes and why do you think this application is appropriate?
So, Madam Chair, we looked into thoroughly in all the letter of objections we had received. So, looking into the matter that our neighborhoods are not happy with the with this development, and they had more concern with the height as well as for the building length. So, considering that points, we really want our neighborhood to be happy, and so we are reducing all these variances. And I believe that these variances are now minor in nature, and I really request everybody to consider this application. Furthermore, for the height, I know that for the flat roof it is 7.2, which is permitted, and we are now proposing 7.92 meters. However, the permitted height in this zone is 9 meters, so we are within the zoning by we are within the permitted height for this zone. So we have made drastically changed in all the variances. We have come from we have eliminated many of the major of the variances. So I request everybody to consider this. And now I believe this development is complying with the existing characteristics, the physical characteristics of the neighborhood. So yeah, I'm all of this thing.
Okay,
All from
I
my
just
side.
wanna make a point of clarification to your comments, Kalvinder, that the 9 meters height is for buildings that have pitched roofs and sloped roofs, not for flat roofs, right? So we just have to be careful in terms of how we interpret our zoning here. Okay, all right. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
that. So thank you for your recap and summary, and I see Member Macaulay has her hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that this applicant is making changes. In fact, they had 8 variances and they've made 8 changes today. As a general practice, we have said at the beginning of our agendas that we will not accept changes on the fly. And this applicant is well known with the procedures of the Committee of Adjustment. I just want to raise the issue that having these applications changed on the fly, on the day of the hearing, at the meeting, is disrespectful both to the committee and to the community. We are having difficulty determining what is the actual application if you make 8 changes to your 8 items. I'm not going to refuse to consider this, but it's a warning not to do this again. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Macaulay. I echo your comments. I think as I said, I'm open to making revisions on the floor, but there's got to be I've got to draw a line, because if it results in numerous revisions, and it often becomes difficult for us and the members of the community to comprehend those changes. So I agree with you. I mean, there's a line that we have to draw in terms of allowing for revisions on the fly, on the floor. On this note, I'm going to now go to our speakers who would like to speak with us. I'll do a quick roll call, but I'm not going to ask for it, but I'll just name the names so that you guys are all prepared to speak. So Doug and Kathy Sanderson, David Harker, Michael Pills, Steve Choi, Bryceson Dodge, Samuel Sandoval, Jeanette Gillem, Ryan St. Pierre. So I'm going to start with Doug and Kathy Sanderson. They're not there? Okay. Thank you, Eric. So Eric has confirmed. Doug and Kathy Sanderson have not signed in. David Harker. All right, David.
Hello.
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 Hello, David. So thank you for
Hello.
joining us. You have 5 minutes, sir. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Chairperson and committee. I won't speak to the. I won't speak to that. There seems to be there's a good list of speakers coming up, and I didn't know I'd have to go first, but I won't speak to the character of the neighborhood, but I do agree with all the other residents who I'm sure will speak to that issue, and that I agree with them that this proposal does not conform to maintain the character of the neighborhood. And part two, my written submission pointed out a lot of design. It might not be specifically the planning committee's jurisdiction, but a lot of specific design issues that would be easily adaptable to eliminate most of or all of the variances proposed for this submission. And third, as a preamble, as we're listening to the proponent there, or the agent, I would like to agree with Member Macaulay's comments there that the fact that the applicant is making changes basically acknowledges that changes need to be made to this application, and that I think the committee could then just deny it or defer it, as it were, on that point alone. And that would allow the applicant to present the new design through the appropriate planning process with a submission, to the planning department, and then actual public consultation on all those changes. So because as a note, like this approach that they've taken here with changes in the meeting is wasting everyone's time, the committee, the planning department, and all the residents. So with that preamble, I'd just like to move on and say that we have seen they're talking about making these changes, but the key one that's highlighted in my written submission is that there's a proposal that basically, I disagree that variance number 4 has been eliminated. That's the one where they've reduced it from 3 stories down to 2. I would argue that the current proposal and the proposal, let's say the one that's in the submission in the documents online, is basically will appear from the street as a 3-story building. They have an above ground garage, part of the first floor, and then they have a first floor level that extends over that garage, and then they have a second floor on top of that, right up at the minimum setback from the property line. So in terms of talking like issues of building mass, we'll have a flat 3-story facade right at the street line. And then reducing that, and then addressing that issue will speak to much of the floor area and the other variances that they have. And to talk to the adverse impact, I think that the height impact here being a flat roof and exceeding the variance on the height variance will probably be the most adverse impact on the neighborhood itself, especially specifically to the immediate neighbors in terms of, and on the north side with shadows and just the mass of the house. So that height variance, I think, is the key one that will address the neighborhood, or impact the neighborhood. And built within that, there's other issues within their design where they've just pushed the limit on the floor space and the heights of the floors, and trying to achieve so in terms of the floors, they're also asking for 12-foot ceilings on the first floor, this mezzanine level, and putting it over top of the garage. And all of that is driving the house way up out of the ground. They've even exceeded the maximum first floor elevation distance from the elevation outside the house, which is 1.2, and all that's pushed up to squeeze that additional floor, the third floor, over top of the garage between the second floor. So I think there's a lot of work to do on the proposal. I guess with my 5 minutes limitation, I'll say there's a lot of work to do that they can. And the applicant has acknowledged right first off in the meeting that they do need to make changes to this application to conform with the residents. So on that basis, I'd like to say that this should be either deferred or denied to continue the process of working to get an appropriate proposal for the neighborhood. And just some, I guess my final comments was that, yeah, the building, the proposal itself does not meet in with the prevailing height and size of the neighborhood. And this, acknowledging that this street is a series of old bungalows from the 1950s, which are being rebuilt one by one. So looking at, as you know, we heard in a previous application, the planned or anticipated character of the neighborhood, many of the buildings in the street have been rebuilt and have easily conformed to, with what I would argue are minor variances, like, you know, to those small exceedances of these limitations, to rebuild
Okay,
houses and the
David,
anticipated character. Oh,
David,
I'm out of time.
You are, unfortunately, so just kind of wrap up, please, because we have to move on.
Okay, so just say, yeah, lots of people will speak to those issues, anticipating.
Everything with the same brush. There's always an opportunity if things like this happen, because everyone's time is important. We would rather deal with it today as opposed to you or the residents coming back again after a month or 2 months and see it all over again. So there's always a benefit to do that as well, but you got to draw a line somewhere. In terms of the variances, they have removed the 2-story comment that David made. How it appears from the street is a different thing, but the 3rd story has been eliminated and no longer requires a variance. So at the end of the day, regardless of what you see from the street, it would be a 2-story building, according to the zoning bylaw definition. Okay, now I'm going to move on to our next speaker, Michael. He's not there. Okay, Michael's not there. Next speaker, Steve Choi. All right, Steve.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and the committee. Please put up our presentation, community presentation.
So
My name is Steve Choi, the owner of.
So you submitted your presentation to us, right? We have it?
Yes, that's correct. And it looks
Okay.
like it's outdated, but I think the theme still holds. My name is Steve Choi, the owner of 61 KELSONIA, the home directly beside 59 KELSONIA. I want to be absolutely clear, I'm the owner right next to 51, and there was no attempt from the owner to reach out to us. Moving on to slide 2, please. I'm speaking as a very concerned neighbor representing 60% of the people living on the street and 57 residents that knew exactly what they were signing in the immediate neighborhood, a number that keeps growing since the petition was originally submitted. Most of the remaining 40% could not be reached during the holiday season. There are also 19 letters of objection, as well as a letter of support from City Councillor Gary Crawford, agreeing with the neighbors that oppose the approval of these variances. Moreover, I would like the committee to note that the direct neighbors to the right, left, front, and directly behind 59 KELSONIA all oppose the approval of these variances. While we acknowledge that the developer made some attempts to work with city planning, there was absolutely no effort to work with the neighborhood, as reflected in the overwhelming opposition made against the approval of these variances. These variances are not minor in nature, and the design is not in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, and we ask the committee not to approve these major variances that are still outstanding. I realize there were revisions made this morning on the fly, but I note the theme of the presentation still holds. So if you can move on to slide 3, please. As can be clearly seen, the excess 83 square meters that was revised this morning, for the most part, still holds. It's reflected in the it's reflected visually distributed across 3 floors. This is equivalent to an additional about 1,000 square feet, or the same size of almost half the homes that already exist on KELSONIA Avenue. The variance alone is equivalent to almost half the size of the homes on the street. Many of the rooms in this design are oversized and of unnecessary scale that results in a proposal that is extremely disrespectful to the neighbors in the neighborhood. This is not insignificant. Moving on to slide 4, please. This data was compiled with help from the Cliff Crest Scarborough Village Southwest Residents Association after we reached out for help. The red lines on the 3 charts to the right clearly indicate 59 KELSONIA being an outlier on its own with their significant variances. Again, definitely not insignificant and definitely not minor. Moving on to slide 5, please. And shifting gears to the floor space index for KELSONIA Avenue, it makes it very clear that the requested FSI for 59 KELSONIA is not minor and not in character with the neighborhood and other redeveloped homes on the street. We note, even at 20% proposed FSI increase, it's greater than what's allowed again, and just as large as almost all of the homes that exist on KELSONIA today. Slide 6, please. The green line represents the length of the existing home that's already outside of the permissible building length. The proposed building will extend even further into the backyard, making it even more obtrusive with the increased height and flat roof. For the immediate neighbors, this is disrespectful and an invasion of our privacy. Slide 7, please. There's an additional 0.35 meters of building length spilling into the backyard. Not only are these high walls imposing on the neighbors, nobody wants an additional wall lining their backyard, casting an extra shadow and blocking out the sunlight. This addition will create a dramatic tunnel effect for immediate neighbors. The solid flat extension will shield the owners of 59 KELSONIA from sound, but channel an echo noise through the backyards of everyone else. The variance for building length is not minor and intrusive to the neighboring backyards, and we request this to be denied. Slide 8, please. The red box clearly shows the additional building mass from the 20% increase in the floor space index, which is a function of the FSI, length, and height variances. This is a significant increase, again, not minor and definitely not insignificant. Slide 9, please. As a direct neighbor, we are strongly opposed to this variance due to a serious privacy concerns given the overlook condition into my backyard and property. The increased height of the building already puts this platform at 17 feet above the ground, giving a bird's eye view into my backyard while my young kids are playing outside. This is undesirable to its surrounding neighbors, completely unnecessary, and with absolutely no regard for others, a complete invasion of my privacy and all of our privacy surrounding that house. Slide 10, please. Thank you for your time. Our neighbor Bryson Dodge will take over from here. Please unmute his phone line that ends with 6330. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Choi? See none. Okay. All right. Bryson Dodge.
Through the chair, we're having some technical difficulties unmuting Bryson. If you are able to, please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, sir. Please go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. My name is Bryson Dodge. I live at 65 Kelsonia Avenue with my wife, our newborn son, and our dog. We live 3 doors down from the subject property. My wife and I built our house in 2018, 2019. And actually, I can pause there. Is the presentation still on the screen, please?
Just give us a moment.
I'll ask that my time be paused while the presentation is pulled back up. Slide 10. Thank you, Madam Chair. As I was saying, my wife and I built our house in 2018, 2019. We live 3 doors down from the subject property. We approached this very committee on April the 12th, 2018. Our single requested variance was to permit a floor space index of 52% versus the bylaw, which permits 50%. That was our only variance. It was important to us that our development keep with the character of the neighborhood. It was important to us that we respect the neighborhood and respect the bylaws that govern responsible development. Frankly, it was not hard to do. The character of the neighborhood is obvious. The bylaws are clear. The bylaws are reasonable. My family gathered the support of our neighbors and of our city councilor. We were glad that this committee approved our development at 52% FSI. We were glad that our variance was found to be minor and appropriate. Comparatively, the applicant is requesting 66%, now 64%, now 60% FSI. There are no houses on the street that are near this size. This variance is not minor and is not appropriate. In addition to the major variance in FSI, the applicant is looking for a significant variance in height, given the flat height roof. This slide portrays what is allowed by our bylaws using a flat roof design. An increase in flat roof height of 16%, now 10%, which was 1.18 meters and now 0.77 meters, is painfully obvious and obtrusive. It's imposing on the neighbors and once again is not minor. There are no other flat roof homes on the street, let alone any with such a significant height variance. Using a design loophole, this variance to the flat roof requirements serves to allow the building to present as a 3-story building, where a 3-story building is not permitted. The use of this design loophole goes against the spirit of the bylaws. bylaws which my family and other families recently have found to be entirely reasonable. The requested variance in height is not minor and does not fit with the neighborhood. Slide 11, please. Creative placement of the front entrance may allow this building to technically be less than 3 stories, but it is obvious from the side that 3 stories exist in this building. This goes against the spirit of the bylaws and the general character of the neighborhood, creating an undesirable result and should be refused. I would like to acknowledge that other applicants in this meeting offered to defer their applications in order to consult with their neighbors. This is a great demonstration of responsible and respectful development. I was disappointed that the applicant for 59 KELSONIA did not take this opportunity to defer their application in order to consult with us, their neighbors. Madam Chair, before I cede my time, I'll finalize with 3 things. First, as Steve mentioned, 60% of the neighbors signed a petition opposing this development, along with our city councilor. Many were not home. I'm entirely confident that more would have signed if they were home. I personally spoke with many of my neighbors. I explained the application, I explained the variance, I explained the committee of adjustment process and shared the experience that my family went through in 2018. I did have one conversation with an elderly neighbor who I did not feel as though she understood. For that reason, I did not take her signature. Everybody who signed that application and that petition understood what they were signing. Second, the FSI being requested is far beyond anything that's been approved in the past. This committee approved 52% for my family in 2018. This committee approved 53% for Steve's family in 2021. The neighborhood is changing, and these are minor variances that are reasonable. Third, compromise isn't one of the 4 tests that the applicant needs to meet. The applicant trumpets the many variances that they started with and referenced how they've reduced them to accommodate. As Member McCauley referenced, revising them on the fly is disrespectful. It's as if they're subscribing to the approach of shooting for the stars and hoping to land on the moon. This is a flawed approach. This is not how planning and development should be done. Nobody is looking for an out-of-the-world development. The applicant will ask you to look at the number of variances they've revised, whereas we ask you to look at the number and scope of variances that remain. The character of the neighborhood is obvious. The bylaws are clear. The bylaws are reasonable. My family was able to navigate the bylaws in 2018, and Steve's family was able to navigate them last year. I'm confident that the applicant can design a home that works for them and meets the 4 tests. Slide 12, please, and our neighbor Sam Sandoval will continue from here.
Okay, thank you very much, Bryson. Members of the committee, any questions? I see none. Okay. I just want to remind everyone that, yes, these presentations were prepared prior to the hearing, and of course, they're still referring to the older variances. So just while you're speaking, just be cognizant that some changes have been made today, and if that helps you with your, helps relieve or alleviate some of your concerns. Okay, can we have Samuel Sandoval, please? All right, Samuel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and we have your presentation, slide 25 up. You can start.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Sam Sandoval, and I live at 64 KELSONIA Avenue. So far, the new developments on KELSONIA Avenue have respected the character set by some of the earlier 2 stories with nicely detailed peak roofs. The variation has prevented a flat street wall development that often comes with flat roof homes. There are no flat roof homes or homes with 2 stories above a garage on KELSONIA. This should be obvious to any developer who cares about reinforcing the existing charm and character of this street. When respect for the neighborhood is not present, it is not surprising so many neighbors feel these variances are undesirable and will oppose them, which is what we are seeing today and over the past few weeks. As mentioned, I have seen many developments over the years on KELSONIA Avenue. Owners of the most recent developments made attempts to speak with their immediate neighbors to explain any variances in their proposed build and to listen to and alleviate any concerns that existing homeowners may have. That includes 2 of my fellow presenters on this presentation who consulted with me and many on the street. And I agree with member Ann McCauley when she stated that making changes to variances on the fly at this meeting is disrespectful and inconsiderate to committee and community members. A considerable amount of time was taken to prepare this presentation by members of the community in order to express their concerns. And this could have been avoided if consultation was done. And I will say it again, as some of the presenters have already, I was not consulted, and I don't know of anyone who was consulted for these plans. The proposal for 59 Kelsonia was not brought to immediate neighbors, nor did it consider how the design would blend in with the existing homes on the street. The proposal for a flat roof with 2 stories above the garage is undesirable and should not be approved. And if you could please move to slide 14. We ask at a minimum to refuse the variance for FSI as it remains major, the flat roof heights, as well as building length and platform size, which some of them weren't revised and at the time were major. I also take a look at the variance in variance 7 for the balcony on the front, which the max allowance is 4 meters, and the change is to be reduced to 7.5 meters, which is still a major variance. And that front balcony would look directly into my living room and kitchen as I'm across the street from this proposed build. The neighbors feel that there might be less objection to a design that is better suited for the street and a few variances that are actually minor in nature. Because this proposal is not in character and not desirable, the petitioning neighbors would prefer you to reject the application entirely. This box, what I refer to as the structure, which looks like a box, typifies the investment development approach, which pushes envelope of variances to maximize rentable space inside and investment benefit, all at the detriment of the neighbors and neighborhood. Why should developers get the benefit of variances when they are not enhancing or being sensitive to the community or even consulting with the community? If you don't mind, can you please go back to slide 5, and my neighbor Janet will speak and close the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we have Janet, please? Okay. Hello, Janet.
Thanks, Sam. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, ma'am, and you have 5 minutes. Please go on.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good afternoon now, Madam Chair and Committee of Adjustments. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. My name is Jeanette Gilliam, and I own 61 Kelsonia, a direct neighbor of 59 Kelsonia. I agree also, like similar to my previous speakers, I agree with Speaker Ann McCauley and the earlier speaker, David Harker. Making changes on the fly during the meeting and on the floor is very disrespectful to the committee, the neighbors, and a waste of taxpayer dollars. I want to clarify that while the diagrams on the slides were not able to be changed as we adhered to the revision deadlines to reflect these changes, the speakers were in fact able to update their commentary for the most part to reflect the latest numbers, which just came hot off the presses. Similar to Bryson and his family, my husband and I recently went through the Committee of Adjustments process, and we made sure to speak with all our nearby neighbors by going door to door to explain our minor variances and to request their support. We planned a home that we felt would fit within the street and did not have any height or length variances. We then discussed our variances with immediate neighbors and received support from all our immediate neighbors. Consulting with our immediate neighbors is a decent and respectful thing to do, and we as a neighborhood expect the same from others. In the applicant's cover letter dated January 6, they stated that they have eliminated variances in order to comply with the characteristics of the neighborhood, and that they tried their best to comply with the comments from planning and development. We note it is irrelevant how many variances have been removed. Compromise is not one of the tests. Furthermore, it is evident that the applicant did not do everything that they could have done, as they did not look at the existing homes on the street to understand their characteristics, nor did the applicant contact any of the direct neighbors, as this was explicitly stated to us by the direct neighbors, perhaps because they knew this kind of development would not be well received, as demonstrated through the fact that 60% of the street oppose the approval of these variances. If you ask me, making changes at the start of the presentation on the floor of the meeting to respond to letters of objection does not count as working with a neighborhood. As mentioned, we're currently in the process of building our family home, And like many others on the street before us, we all built our homes by meeting the 4 tests outlined under Section 45(1) and respected the privacy of and worked alongside our neighbors to establish long-term roots in the community. As we all know, the Committee of Adjustments makes decisions on applications for minor variances to city zoning bylaws. The bylaws are there so that neighbors have a reasonable expectation of what to expect in terms of development next door, which will result in a much more harmonious community. In order for a minor variance to be granted by the committee, all 4 of the tests under Section 45(1) must be satisfied. In this case, myself and 56 other neighbors, along with the support of Councillor Gary Crawford, believe 1, the variances are not minor. The updated FSI is still 20% over what is allowed. 2, they're undesirable, as spoken by my earlier neighbors' comments, and not appropriate development of the land. 3 and 4, the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw and official plan are not maintained. Again, it is irrelevant how many variances have been removed. Compromises is not one of the tests. We ask you to refuse this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeanette, for your time. Can we have our next speaker, Ryan St. Pierre? Ryan?
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Ryan.
committee.
It is good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan St. Pierre. I live on Cliffcrest Drive. It's in the immediate neighborhood of 59 Kelsonia. Speaking on the behalf of members in the community that can't be here today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on the issue. I don't really have anything additional to say that hasn't been covered in our slides and presentation. I did want to say that I agree with Member McCauley's assessment. This is not an acceptable way to make changes to a plan. The neighbors can't possibly reconsider the proposal on the floor without the benefit of drawings for consideration. Anyway, thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, that brings us to the end of our speakers list. And I will go back to Kulvinder.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, Kulvinder. So Kulvinder, you heard there's a lot of dissatisfaction or disappointment with, again, lack of consultation as well as making changes on the fly. In my opinion, yes, these are certainly improvements, but I think it's, as was noted several times, it's not fair to everyone to be able to really comprehend all the changes on the fly and then to be able to assess the application. So what's your thoughts on it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Madam Chair. I have seen that the members of community and the neighborhood have this concern that we had revised our application at the last moment. But I would like to mention this, that the letter of objections were submitted to the committee on the last minute, which was on the 6th of Jan at around 3:30. All of the letter of objection were submitted. So we didn't have any time to revise our application. We already revised our application on 30th of December. Even like after that, we received the letter of objection. So we didn't have enough time to revise again our application. That was the only thing that why we didn't revise our application earlier. As much as we could do, we did on the 30th of December. And then after that, if we are getting letter of objections, we didn't have enough time, so we couldn't prepare the revised application. And then we didn't want to submit the application with the wrong calculations. And I understand everybody's concern for this, but since we didn't have enough time to prepare, we couldn't. That was actually that is the reason why we didn't able to submit it. And apart from this, I would like to also mention that I have heard one of the objections from one of our neighbors, from the opposite neighbor of 59 Kelsonia. They mentioned that there will be, because of the front balcony, there will be a privacy concern for them. I would like to mention that the distance of the balcony till the center of the Kelsonia road. I'm mentioning it again. From the balcony till the center of the road, the Kelsonia road, the distance from the balcony till the center is 18 meters. It's approximately 59 feet. So I don't think so that much distance will make my honor to disturb somebody's privacy concern. And the other point which has been mentioned by one of the owner of 61 Kelsonia, this is very unfortunate because during the application, minor variance application of 61 Kelsonia, the 59 Kelsonia owner supported them. So So today it was really unfortunate to see that 61 Kelsonia owner was objecting the minor variance application for 59 Kelsonia. And apart from that, talking about that our owner 59 Kelsonia was not able to talk or had a conversation with the neighborhood because he is out of the country. That is the only reason why he was not able to had a contact with the neighborhood. Since we have revised, yes, we have revised this on the last minute, since I already mentioned that we didn't have time. And now whatever the variance we have, I believe it's really minor in nature. We have reduced the lot coverage, we have reduced our height, and it is a drastic change from 10 meters to 7.9 meters, which is only 0.72 meters, which is the allowable height. So I request everybody to please consider the variance, and if there are further comments, I will welcome that.
Okay, thank you, Kulvinder. I just want to make a couple of comments here. So I appreciate your attempts to, once you did receive the objection, you reviewed it, you attempted to make the changes. Yes, committee of adjustment processes are very time crunched, so I appreciate all of that. But you always have, as a applicant or as the owner, the opportunity to defer the application, especially when you're contemplating several changes to the application, and this has not happened the first time, Kulvinder. It has happened numerous times on the committee where changes have been so many that it's been difficult for us to comprehend, and sometimes the residents don't feel comfortable with it. So there's always an opportunity to defer the application. You could have asked for deferral. You could have, gone back to the drawing board, updated the drawings, shared with the residents. I understand it was a difficult time. It was a holiday season, and the COVID doesn't help either. I believe the owner was out of the country as well. So I see there could be numerous things, but it would be much more favorable for you to have had this application requested for deferral, in my opinion. Because yes, and I do acknowledge these are certainly great improvements. You have toned down, you have removed variances. Overall, it's starting to look better, but I still think to give everyone a good opportunity to be able to assess the changes and analyze them in the overall context a deferral would have been a good option. Now, your comment about the other owner not commenting on or not having concerns with the other application, that's something that I think we should refrain from. Each application is on its own, has its own merits. Maybe that was not an issue in that case. Maybe it's an issue in this case. So I think we should refrain from making those comments, but I certainly think you need to consider a deferral for this so that you can go back. And again, as I said, these are great improvements, but I think it needs to be well understood by all the residents. And again, the consultation comment has come up. The immediate neighbors on both sides across the property were not consulted, and those are the ones that are going to be mostly impacted. So I really want you to think about it.
Yes, Madam Chair. If we are proposing the deferral, I would consider that. We are really sorry for the last minute, but since I already mentioned the time was not there, but it's okay. I mean, we are okay with the deferral.
No, I understand that. And then I have, and I do sympathize. It was not the greatest of the timing. The holidays are not always the best for coordination of matters like these. But I think it would probably in your best interest if you were to go back, consider deferral, go back, talk to the residents, and really, see where as I said, you've made improvements and see if there's other opportunities to change and make improvements. I don't think the residents are against redevelopment, but I think there's got to be a good understanding of all these changes in the proposal amongst the residents as well. Okay? So committee members, any feedback, any thoughts, any comments? Member Said.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You have covered a lot of things, but I just want to voice my comments on that. I will make it very brief. Number one, it was really sad that to note after hearing all these deliberations that there was no piece of consultation. There was totally it was absent there. And I was surprised even the next door neighbor, like Janet was mentioning, she have never been consulted there, which is really very sad. And I don't agree with Kulvinder's point that they were having no time to give answer to the letter of objections, right? this is a long process, and when they started making a plan to that, they should have been proactive in reaching out to the community members. And at that point, they should not have been waiting for the objections, but they should be proactive, reaching out to the community members, telling them what plan they have, and explaining them and telling them and getting the feedback from them. So I'm sorry for that. The revisions factor, member McCarthy pointed out in the very beginning, yes, this is not a fair practice, especially when we have a lot of participants over here and those who are not attending this meeting today, how they are going to comprehend all these changes. We have like more than 50 participations, direct or indirect. So even if it is very difficult for me to understand these changes which were made at the floor, because I have to relate the changes in one variance and what is the impact on the other variants. All of them were interrelated. And finally, as far as the variances are concerned, Madam Chair, the variances are there. Thank you for making the improvements in that. But still, overall impact, I am not comfortable with that. And I believe that the variances are not appropriate and not minor. So I may not be in a position to support this application. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So maybe in the interest of time, and I did see there was some willingness from Kulvinder to consider deferral. I'm going to go back to Kulvinder. Kulvinder, then are you considering or would you have an appetite for deferral of this application?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to defer. Yes, I would like to defer.
Okay, all right. No, I think it's important. I think it'll help you out, Kulvinder. Again, I'm going to reiterate that when you do go back, and should the committee defer this application, you go back, you make sure you revise your application. Now you have the advantage of having to heard everyone today. You've read their objection letters. You've heard what the concerns are. You know the residents would like to be consulted with. Make sure you take care of all those matters. Revise your drawings. Share the accurate, correct information like the correct numericals with the residents, with the community members, and try to get their buy-in as much as possible, and then we'll be happy to see your application again. Okay? All right. On this note, committee members, Kulvinder has agreed to for a deferral. May I have a motion on this? Member Macaulay.
Thank you, and thank you, Kulwinder. I think it is in your best interest to go with a deferral. It is difficult for all of us to understand these new numbers, and you may in fact want to change those numbers further. It's also in your best interest that when you do change those numbers, that you run them through the community planning to make sure that you've caught all the variances, because it's a pain. I'll just say that it's a pain if you've got approval of 8 variances and find out, hey, I missed one and I have to come back again. We don't want to add to that pain. Make sure that you have done your homework, run it through the community planning to ensure that you have caught everything, and by all means, consult with the neighbors, especially the neighbors within 100 feet. That's on both sides, across the street and behind. So, Madam Chair, that's a long comment, sorry. My motion is to defer this application sine die.
Thank you. And for reasons as stated earlier?
I think you just need to be explicit in the
Okay.
deferral.
Okay, so reason for deferral, Member Macaulay?
Reason for deferral is that the applicant has asked for a deferral so that they can meet with the community and consider further revisions.
Okay. May I have a seconder, please? A seconder? It's a request for deferral. Member McKay?
Somewhat reluctantly, well, perhaps with a good deal of reluctance, but I'll second that motion to defer, Madam Chair.
Okay. All in favor of this motion? The motion's carried and the application has been deferred sine die. Okay, we go to our next, Colin.
Through the chair, we do need to change YouTube streams. So we will need to do a 2-minute break. For our viewers who are watching this hearing on YouTube, we are changing YouTube streams. The new please click off this stream and the AM stream, and we will now be switching over to the PM stream for this hearing. Thank you.
So